Hey, everybody. It's time once again to get this thing going. Here we go.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Welcome, everybody, to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and yes, it is time for Merle and Ghosts of the Great White North. Jacob Rice is our guest tonight. We're getting deep into the paranormal, supernatural, haunted houses, and everything that goes along with it. Later on, we'll have Tim Senor and Random Guy in for a little UFO talk. But first, let's say hello to all of you. Race fan in the gold medal position, and B with the silver. Penny Van taking home a bronze medal tonight. Hi, Nightmare and Paramarv, Brown Dwarf, good to see you. Hi, Michael Morris, Samantha Hazelwood Gray, how you doing? And look at Race fan, merling it up right off the bat there. Nancy Hayes, welcome again. Simon in Australia, Deco and Sandy B, wearing, let's see, Arthur's Herbe's old number 36. We have Lars Jansson starting in net from Luleå, Sweden. Welcome, Lars. How you doing? Moving on, Jenny White Bear, thanks for coming on in. Jake from Ghostly Activities, thank you so much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you so much. Michael Fontaine, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Good merling right off the bat. Super Duke, merling it up with Super Duke. All right, moving on here. Let's see who else we got. Jessica Human Carl, a great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service, Human Carl. We love you around here. And let's see, still merling for Michael. Yeah, Marlena, how are you? Welcome. Dirt Road, thanks for coming on in. And let's see, Marlena's giving a merly here too. And look at them road trippers, even merling himself. Look at that. Pixie Lara, thanks for coming on in. Hi, Millennium. What's new? And let's see who else we got here coming on in. Mothwing, how you doing, man? And let's see, Tokeland. Amy Vegas. Oh, can't wait to see you in a couple of months. And thank you for joining us, my dear. Bigfoot in Germany, Linda Bennett, welcome to the show. And let's see who else we got joining us tonight. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. The Doug Shelby. Bigfoot Rob, good to see you, buddy. And Serpent, welcome. Look at Doug Shelby. He's merling it up. Pink Volo, nice to have you here. Evan Walters, you're pissing me off, man. Just pissing me right off. Vaughn Patrick, good to see you. W. David Page will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Hi, Richard Elmore. And who else do we have here? Well, let's take a look. Sandra Heath. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. If you say her names 3 times, you'll get an autograph from Sandra. She'll be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Continuing on here, Let's see who else we got coming on in. Von Patrick, Stu Gerson, Rono how are you? And Social Dig, Mr. Rob G, how you doing, buddy? Glad I could stop by your show earlier today. Skip to Malou, Nicole Perron, where have you been hiding lately? You have not been here. No, you have not. Where have you been? All right, we're waiting for Bill WD-40 to join us in the Spreaker room right above my finger. That way we can get lubed up for tonight's show. Obi Flett, nice to see you. And Eric Markham, good to have you here. Rui from Portugal, thanks for coming on in. Pat Toohey, welcome. Nikki in Seattle, thanks for joining us. Random Guy, what's happening? Trace B, how you doing? And Rugged Source, Blue Cruise. Beachy, how are you? And the Michael Leger has returned. And TMI. There we go. Nancy, thank you so much for that wonderful super chat. Very much appreciate your love and support of SOR. Thank you so much. Horns up, everybody. Let's rock. Right now. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Power Show of Paranormal tonight. Big Bad Merle is here for Ghosts of the Great White North. We are joined by Jacob Rice tonight, paranormal investigator out of Washington State. Then in hour number 3, we're going to head to the swamp, followed by Little Timmy Senor and Random Guy for the UFO report. Now it's that time of the month again where we put down our UFO gig, put on our paranormal hats, and get right into the ghosts that are among us. One of the top paranormal researchers in Canada, our man Merle, is here from the Paranormal Road Trippers based out of Vancouver, British Columbia. He joins me once a month to talk about the ghosts that are among us around North America and the world. Joining us tonight is a good friend of this show, Jacob Rice. He's a paranormal investigator out of Washington State. He is a tech guy. He is a very skeptical person who's even had a run-in with a black-eyed kid. I'm going to try and get him to retell that story tonight because that story just absolutely blows my mind. Let's bring him on in. Big Bad Merle, what's happening, my friend? Good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio.
It's great to be back, Dave. Looking forward to this.
Me too, my man. Me too. What have you been up to, Merle?
Not much. Getting ready for a ton of investigations coming up over the months. Jake there, he's not a paranormal investigator anymore. He's upgraded to documentarian.
Documentarian. Wow. Oh, I apologize.
It's top shelf.
Jake, it's been a while since we had you on the show, and it's always a pleasure to have you here with your knowledge and your very brilliant mind when it comes to everything from the technical side to the actual investigation of spirits and ghosts. How have you been? How's your 2023 started?
It has been fine and dandy. I'm very excited to say, doing some more documentaries. We did a couple of them back to back. And ended one. We just did one at the end of January at a haunted lighthouse. We could talk about that a little bit more, but just grinding away day by day.
Excellent. Well, tonight we're going to get into not UFOs, but yeah, that's later on. Yeah, I'm UFO'd out right now. I really am. But
Been busy.
it has been busy. It really has, and it's been a little bit crazy on what's going on. But I mean, we are going to get into a lot of paranormal, talk about a lot of paranormal documentaries and television shows and what goes on behind the scenes with everything that goes along with it. But Merle, you guys, you and Jake hooked up on a really cool project that I really enjoyed. There's a 45-minute video approximately on YouTube right now on your YouTube channel talking about a very haunted location in the British Columbia mountains that was kicked off by the gold rush. And uh, let's learn more a little bit about this and the Alexandria Lodge.
Yeah, actually, it predates the gold rush. I think it around 1858 was when it kind of started up around there. This lodge, the area first, it was an area for the Hudson Bay trappers to go to and from, and it was one of the epicenters of there's something called the Fraser Canyon War between the Americans and the indigenous, and all that energy going on up around this area, and then fast forward to the late 1800s gold rush, and they have thousands upon thousands of men going to and from past your house up to Barkerville and back down. And this lodge has seen a lot. And we were honored to be able to go investigate it and share its heritage. And we're really happy with how our video turned out. We're actually pushing 100,000 views.
Excellent. Excellent. That's pretty exciting. And why do a documentary series on a little remote building like that?
To shed light on our valuable dissolving history in British Columbia, to tell the story of these places before they're gone. If we can help tell the story to preserve these places, that's a home run for us.
Mhm.
And sprinkle some ghosty stories on it, and it's a good day.
And Jake, yeah, you being an American coming up to Canada to film all of these locations, I want to ask you, because when we think of paranormal due to paranormal television, I really don't think that Canada really gets the 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 hauntings that it deserves to be put on television. We always want to hear about the Waverly Hills, the Alcatraz, the Gettysburg, and every Bobby McKee's in between, or
Mhm.
Bobby Mackey's in between, pardon me. I mean, we rarely get to hear stories of this unknown trail of the gold rush that really is probably more haunted than Gettysburg, more violent than Gettysburg. Hundreds of thousands of people died along this trail, all in the search of gold, whether they found it, whether they took life into their own hands, whether they were murdered, whether they were, died of illness. I mean, this is just an incredible run. And a lot of people don't even realize it started in California and Nevada and made its way through Oregon and Washington right into British Columbia.
Mhm. Yeah, and that is the thing that intrigued me most because let's just say my history classes failed me with that stuff. It was pretty much California had a gold rush, Alaska had one a little bit later, and British Columbia never existed. I had no idea there was thousands of gold miners coming from California ready to essentially, commit genocide against the indigenous folks, the First Nation folks up there, just so they could get to the gold. No clue whatsoever. But when it comes to the name recognition part of it, you talk about Gettysburg and Waverly. I mean, that's what it is. Because the TV shows, right? They want something people know about. They don't have to work too hard at promoting. In Canada, you're going to have to promote it, especially if it's to a US audience, because we're just oblivious to it overall. But let me tell you, that was some quality haunt action happening at the Alexandra Lodge. Quality haunt action.
Well, for people who don't know what the lodge is, Mike, why don't you explain that?
So right now the lodge is under construction. They're renovating it to be a bed and breakfast, kind of like the Roadhouse it used to be. Um, it's said that there's up to 5 spirits in there, and we had communication, I think, with a handful of them, and it's along the Fraser Canyon or the Caribou
Correct.
Highway.
Yeah,
What
Caribou
road is that, Dave,
Gold.
coming up to your house? The
Caribou Highway.
highway. Caribou Highway, yeah. So if you're in British Columbia in Vancouver, it's about 2.5 hours from there. And it's the gateway to the north, essentially. It even had the King of Siam
Mhm.
stop over there,
Oh,
as per
let
the
me
record.
let me
Oh,
tell
go
you,
ahead.
the YouTubers corrected me. That one.
Savages.
It's King Rama the Seventh. If you're curious, I put Moncut in the video because that would have been the gold rush time. But turned out the King of Siam actually visited in 1931 while doing his grand tour. He kicked off in Vancouver and worked his way to Washington D.C. And that was like within the first week of him arriving, he stopped at Alexandra Lodge and had dinner there. So I corrected it in the comments, people.
I have driven by that lodge hundreds of times. And it's just if you didn't know it was there, you would miss it, even though it's right along the highway. And you see this old building, you think that, oh, somebody's named Alexandria built a building a few years ago and put their name on it. Maybe it was a little hotel or whatever, a flower or curiosity shop or whatever it may be. But this has sensational history to it, much like the entire gold rush. What kind of spirits are said to be hanging out there, Merle?
The original owner, the original creator of the lodge is said to be there. The names escape me right now.
William
Uh,
something. I can't remember
William.
his last name. Yeah.
His wife is said to be there. There is also a unnamed, kind of more crankier spirit, who kind of watches and makes the staff or the owner feel a little uneasy or dizzy in a couple of the rooms. Um,
Lily
there's a
Clegg.
spirit, Lily
Thank you.
Clegg, yeah.
Yeah.
And it said that there's a spirit there that pushed the owner off a ladder when he was doing the roof.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Very nice. We always love it when ghosts attack around here.
Especially if it's captured on film.
Yes.
You got that right. You got that right. The idea that, it's not just this trail or anything, but you filmed a documentary on one building, on one place. What has the response been from the public regarding this?
Jake, that's a you question for you
Well,
two.
you can, I mean, you are more familiar with the Hope Standard, which is the local paper that covered it.
Mhm.
So, let's start. You want to start with the local thing, and then we'll go scroll out to the global
Yeah, for
comments that
sure.
we've had.
The Hope Standard did a piece on the lodge and in our investigation, which got a lot of traction, a lot of positive comments on there, and some correcting us for the location specifics. We also got some interest from place in Williams Lake and a couple other cities wanting us to do the same sort of video for them. So us doing the Alexander Lodge video kind of catapulted us to interest from about 6 other places that we have to pencil in to do for them.
Well, what's interesting is tourism dollars are becoming a very hard find, especially after coming out of COVID,
Hmm.
where everybody is scrounging for any way possible to find money, and tourism money is a big one, especially during the holiday seasons of summer and and people traveling through, whether they're coming up to head to Alaska or whether they are touring the west coast of Canada.
Hmm.
And the one thing that I know about this area here is they've already tapped out on the hunting crowd. They've already tapped out on the camping crowd and the hiking crowd and the bed and breakfast crowd and the fishing crowd. And you can only push those for so long before people are been there, done that. Because realistically, don't tell anybody, but this area is boring.
Dave,
It
don't
is.
say that.
No, it is. It's very boring because here's the thing. If you go, when you go camping, okay, usually I don't know how other people are, but you have your wilderness camping and then you have your camping where, maybe one day even though you're camping, you go to the water slides or you go
Hmm.
go-karting, or you go uh ride motorbiking on the trails or on your side by sides. And then one day, you gather the family, and you head out to the shopping mall and go shopping. Well, that really isn't the Caribou where we live or where I broadcast this show. So they are hurting for people to come back here after they've done it 2, 3 times, maybe 4 times. And one of the ways that's being talked about is by more promotion of paranormal in these towns, because it's like a freebie. It's a freebie on what's going on. And
Yeah.
Merle, I know you've talked to people who are like, why haven't we been doing this for years, knowing how successful paranormal tourism is in the United States?
I think that we're just a little late to the party with paranormal. Like we've talked about before, how I think Canada's a little more conservative with their paranormal approach versus the US has been a little more progressive and open with it. And I think that we're finally catching up to it. And as for the caribou, it is not boring. um, I've taken it upon or Jake and I have taken it upon ourselves with Sandra to find these locations people just drive by and go, "Oh, that's cool. Maybe we'll go there again one day." Alexandra Lodge example. But then there's about 6 other locations that we're gonna be visiting that I've never heard of, that have history that would just blow your mind of how interesting the things that has happened there, or the types of hauntings that they have, and people like wanting to talk to us and share their story because they trust the kind of the ship we're guiding with watching the Alexandra Lodge. And getting back to the comments and how people receive that is well, YouTube, they don't lie.
Yeah.
They don't sugarcoat, and if they don't like a tone of your music, you will know what note it
Oh.
is.
Well, let me define, because you contradicted me there. Let me define boring. Okay.
I know.
People choose to live up here like I did, to get away from the rush, to calm life down.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I don't find my town boring per se, because I can find something to do. Okay. But what I'm saying is, if you're somebody who lives in Vancouver or Seattle, or you're coming up from California or Idaho or wherever it may be, all right, and you come camping for a week, you're camping for a week. You're
Yep.
not doing a lot of stuff, because there isn't a lot of stuff to do. I mean, you drive down the main street of my town in 100 Mile House, everything outside of the Tim Hortons is shut down after 8 p.m.
It's
There's
quiet.
one bar that they just opened up. That's open till midnight. Okay, like there isn't a lot to do. There's no kids activities. There's barely
Hmm.
even a park.
Mhm.
Right? So that's what I'm talking about for tourism aspect. It's
Totally.
a it's a boring, boring place. Like, no offense, I love Barkerville, but at 50 years old, I can understand why I like Barkerville. If I'm a 12-year-old kid, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do here?
Mhm.
Run around and throw horse crap at my brother or sister, right? That's what I'm going to do, right? But that's what I'm saying about this area, is it's not a friendly area, compared to, you know, you drive down the I-5, and there's always something to do down the I-5. You can always find something within a 100-mile radius. That's what I'm talking about.
Totally. I guess, yeah, when you're alone up there, you're alone. It's
Yeah.
quiet. Yeah.
And I'm sure the fires didn't help. That's probably scared away people too.
Well, let's just hope that those don't come back. We're getting a little bit more snow here, so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But you're right, though, Merle. Where you are right is in a situation such as the paranormal.
Mhm.
This is a ghost hunter's dream. This Gold Rush line from the border straight up to Alaska.
Yeah. And just finding all these, like, I kinda got refresh renewing feeling the past couple months, finding all these other new places that nobody's gone to or has even heard. I haven't even heard of these places, and, like, it's exciting, man, and especially with doing the history on the Alexander Lodge, finding out that there was an actual Fraser Canyon War. Was That was the epicenter of a war back in the day, and then before that, all the Hudson Bay fur traders going up and down to get all the way back to the east. They hiked through there, and it's just the history. It's awesome.
How do you feel about looking into that so much hidden history, Jake? Because I know that's something that of your interest as well.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can uncover the secrets of the past and how it impacts us today, I think that's amazing to go on that journey and discover it. And this is a part of the world I didn't know much about. So to me, I'm always getting fresh new information, which I love. And it gets me thinking about, how can we incorporate this into one of our documentaries?
How long before this area gets invaded with ghost hunters? You guys are going to ruin it for me. You know that.
Yeah.
Blame Merle.
Blame me. I know that there's a bunch of teams putting dots on the map for summertime, so be prepared, Dave. Be prepared for the traffic.
Oh my. As long as they show respect, that's all I care about.
Yeah. I mean, but the distance and the isolation, the serious ghost hunters are more likely to come than the para-tourists, I would say. Simply because of the isolation.
The para-tourists are the worst. When we get back from the break here in about 3 minutes, let's actually get into paranormal tourists like that, what that is about, because I don't think a lot of people, we will get into some ghost stories because in the end we do have to. But I mean, getting into the whole idea, you guys are running on a different aspect right now than most ghost hunters. You're taking a location, you're going hard on that location, and then you're filming it rather than just playing ghost hunter and saying, hey, will you sign this piece of paper here so no other ghost teams can get in here? You're not playing games like that. You are just basically playing the role of, hey, we want to tell this story. What's the difference between what you guys are doing, Jake, and what other paranormal teams are up to?
Well, you know what? I think it comes down to the seriousness and the respect that we apply to the locations. For one thing, when we film them, it's like the location is part of the team. And these documentaries that you're making, and there's a few of them, they're kind of like love letters to those locations and what's happened in the past. So we're very respectful of, I mean, you're talking about very dark subject matter. We're talking about deaths and war and all that stuff. But it's not salacious. It's not like we're taking yellow journalism and really hyperbolizing the investigations in a way, going over the top. It is very much centered on what happened in the past. What can we learn? Who can we speak to identify, and then present that, with without going over the top with the presentation, I'll say, which is a bit different from a lot of the other YouTube videos you see out there.
Okay, so the idea behind that means what? How do we improve it? How do we keep it going? How do we establish what needs to be part of a ghost hunt or a part of a documentary?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing about the documentary is presenting reality as it is. So instead of making a gonzo show about it, put it in its actual light, treat the subject matter with respect, treat the people who are there experiencing it with respect. Don't just try to hook them and pull out all the crazy stuff that's happened to them. It's like, what is your life like with these ghosts and spirits here? And that's what we've been complimented on by the YouTube viewers is, essentially they're saying, oh my God, you're not one of these gonzo ghost hunters like Ghost Adventures, or if you've seen the YouTube ghost hunting videos out there with the really hyperbolic reactions. It's not like that at all. I had to say, the people that have thumbs us down and said, this is too boring. There's not enough ghosts shoving you, for example. Because this is people's lives we're talking about now. So be respectful of the people that are going through this.
And on that note, we're going to take our first break at the bottom of the hour. Merle is here for Ghosts of the Great White North. Yes, Merlentine's Day has passed. And we move on with Jacob Rice, our special guest, getting into paranormal tourism, paradocumentaries, and their favorite ghost stories when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Shane finally arrived.
Classic Shane. He's late.
Oob to Joe Spain. You've got ghosts. And who else is showing up here? Look at Doug Shelby. He's Merlin hard right now. Cosmic Floor, nice to see you. And come on, Shane, you got to improve your Merles from there. I stepped up big time there with Merlin Times Day.
How strong.
That was strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that love letters to the
Location.
Write that down. I think it's true, though.
Hello, the Ferret and Rodgerge. Sensational Sherry. How are you?
Dave, I have Beyonce in my head since you said autographs to the left. So you know that to the left song?
To the left. Everything
Thank you.
alone in a box to the left.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Stephanie Jackson, how are you? Penny, Dave, check your yard. I asked everyone in the paranormal field that I know to send all the spirits there. Merle, what's my paranormal house like?
It's very active. It's heavy. Sometimes it's a little uneasy feeling. He doesn't need more. He's got enough.
I had Travis Mootstoo's astral travel over here to my house.
And what do you see?
Everything. He's like, Dave, your house is packed. Like, yeah. Yeah, I know.
So tell me about Vegas. What's the latest on Vegas, man?
Well, we're going to Vegas on May 19th through 21st. Merle is coming. Tip your hat, Merle, when I say that, please. Merle is coming. Very nice. And many other special guests to hang on out for our live YouTube channel, our VIP parties, and so much more. So on the Friday night, if you're a VIP member, you are going to be able to hang out with our special guests for a couple hours at a very, very nice club. Very nice whiskey bar. A whiskey bar.
Ooh.
Yeah, in Binions. And then the next day, we're going to do our live show with Jessica Jones and then the After Hours crew and then myself. After that, there will be a live sky watch if you want to go out and look for some UFOs outside of the city lights with Misha Johnson, Melinda Leslie, Eric Markham, Tim Senor, and Science Bob. And then from there on Sunday morning, or pardon me, early Friday before the VIP party, if you get in, there's going to be an experiencers meetup for 2 hours where people can exchange their experiences of UFOs and aliens and everything to go along with it. Friday or Sunday, even though a lot of people will be going home, some are not. So we are going to be playing some poker. And many people are talking about making a drive out to Area 51. And yeah, it's going to be a great, great time. And tickets are on sale now. If you're going to be purchasing your VIP tickets, we need to know by April 1st. April 1st at info@spacedoutradio.com. And yeah, we're going to have a blast. Merle, you got to let people know in your group that that's where you'll be that weekend.
I will push that. We will. Vegas. I'll be going a day early.
Vegas does not get you all you can eat shrimp, Wilford Brimley. But
Yeah,
if you
I'm not
find there's Guy Calgary. Guy Calgary. How you doing, buddy? I think right now we have about 50 people.
Nice.
50 listeners that are going, 50 to 60. And we're going to be getting some harder numbers here coming up very, very soon.
And how many were there last year?
Last year we had about 43 fans, and the rest were special guests. about
Nice.
15 special guests. We had about 60, 62 people there overall. And then some guy named Random Guy showed up and ruined the whole damn thing. But that's for another story.
Classic
Yeah.
random guy.
Damn random guy. Yeah. Hi, Mama Susan. How are you? And we're going to get going in about 10 seconds here. Thank you to Jake and Nancy for the amazing super chats. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And yeah, let's get back into the paranormal here right now. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for your support and listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our archives for free on YouTube, or you could go on our podcast format at Spotify, iHeartRadio, and every major platform that provides podcasts. Yes, including Apple, iTunes, and Google Play. We're there. We are there as well. Yeah, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with our good friend Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers out of Vancouver, British Columbia. Ghosts of the Great White North is what we call this show. Our special guest tonight, ghost hunter documentarian from Washington State, Jacob Rice. Merle, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And we'll get you to unmute your microphone and get things going here. Paranormal tourism, guys. I mean, this is something that's becoming very important in a lot of areas. We talked a little bit about it right before the break. You know, where do you see this coming into play for what you guys are doing? How are you helping some of these locations with these films that you're creating?
I know with Alexander Lodge, I've been approached by several teams asking if I can get them in there. And I know that the lodge itself has had a lot of interest from the public to stop there, to hear the stories, to have tours of the lodges. And I really think that it bumped their people stopping there, the buzz on it. And I think us going to each of these locations to tell their stories is extremely beneficial, and I think it'll benefit tourism, but it also saves and benefits each location, like on a personal level.
And how about for you, Jake? What do you see going on here?
Yeah, I think especially for more of the rural locations, the things farther outside of the city, this gives a chance for people to come out, see the location, contribute to help preserve it, especially Alexandra Lodge, because that's going through a major overhaul. So anything that can keep these places in business, get them restored to their original state, for me, it's a good thing.
You see, and one thing I will say to our American listeners and our British listeners, okay, or Canada is not very good at keeping up with its historic locations. They are not, I mean, it depends on the building, okay? Like Parliament buildings or certain buildings, they will absolutely keep. Like in the United States, where you guys will keep stadiums and everything, forever because of the historic value. We don't do that here. The most historic stadium in Canada, the Montreal Forum, was turned into a shopping mall. And they actually, put it this way, the last time a Canadian hockey team won the Stanley Cup was the Montreal Canadiens 30 years ago. And they believe that when the following year they moved from the Forum to the Molson Center, they believe a curse was put on Canadian hockey teams that they couldn't win the Stanley Cup. So much so that they've tried to exorcise the ghosts from the old Forum, which is now a shopping mall, into and try and move them like Ghostbusters into the Montreal uh, rink, the Molson Center. And it hasn't worked. In fact, Canadian teams have gotten worse.
That
So,
explains.
but I mean, it just explains a lot of Canada doesn't do a lot with its older buildings. Sure, we have museums. Sure, there's historical societies, but for the most part, it's tear it down and put something new up. So the importance of telling these stories and maybe attracting people to the older legends is something that is going to be new for a lot of people up here, Merle.
I agree, and that's something we're tackling, and I think it's very valuable knowledge for people. And what I like to do is kind of bridge the age gaps, because a lot of younger kids, they don't care about the history, they don't care
Hmm.
about what happened in the 1800s, 1900s, but people my age and above do. But they're all into watching the YouTube ghosty shows or the other shows on like Discovery Plus and all that. So if we can if we can bridge both audiences by
Hmm.
doing a little bit of history and then adding in the investigation, but in a tasteful way where both parties can watch it, that's a knock out of the park for us, I think.
Yeah, you need the infotainment part of it for the younger generation. So to make it exciting, because a lot of kids aren't going to care about what happened 200 years ago, 150 years ago, or something. And this, I think, presenting it in a more entertaining way is your ability to hook them and potentially get them up there to partake in the local history.
How do you guys find the balance between what you are doing in promoting these haunted aspects of locations and still trying to maintain the secrecy of the locations? Because once they're on film,
Hmm.
they're going to get ravaged and raided by every paranormal team from a two-person couple to, teams that are, 4,000 strong. Okay, on Facebook, that is. So how do you balance that? Do you talk to the owners of these buildings and you say, "Look, there's going to be a rush of people now wanting to come and investigate your building. It is up to you if you want to let them do that or not." Do you give them warnings how some teams aren't as polite or as clean or as friendly or location friendly? How do you do this? Because there is a fine balance. Or do you do
Um,
it all?
I do. I give them warnings. Well, not warnings, but I'll say just teams are going to approach now that it's out there, but just make sure they're respectful of you, respectful of your location, and don't push the boundaries and do everything like in and out. You don't need to leave a big paranormal footprint with all your flags everywhere and all
Hmm.
that. Just go in and do your investigation and be tasteful, because that's what a lot of like the locations Jake and I have been to is they're worried about being exposed for a team coming in saying there's 17 demons in room 4, and then it tanks their business because people will be scared of that. So I just preach respect, and
Yeah.
don't be scared to shut teams down if they're kind of chest puffing at you to get their whatever they're looking for.
Yeah, but on the other side of it, the owner of the location, they have the right to set the rules of their investigation. And they can set the rules about what they publish. Just because you give permission for someone to come and investigate doesn't mean you give them permission to publish. And a lot of the teams don't actually publish their stuff to begin with. But so you, as the owner, you have a lot more say about who gets to investigate and what comes out of that investigation.
Well, I recall when I was working with our local museum here, I recall a team coming up here from Vancouver where the lady on the team told me that I, as one of the as the paranormal curator of the museum, was not allowed on the property while they were doing the investigation. And I laughed at her and I said, yeah, yeah, I am.
Hmm.
And if you don't like it, it's going to be a real waste of travel for you to come up here and investigate. Because a lot of these museums up here still, it's not like Waverly Hills where they have $1,000 fee per person or whatever their fee is, or Gettysburg or wherever. A lot of these locations are doing it for the publicity, as you said, and they don't know, they're not educated or understanding how the paranormal works. They're very virgin to the subject. And that's what scares me about a lot of these locations that all of a sudden get hammered by paranormal teams who, come in and paint them a rose and leave with the thorns.
Yeah, and you know what? This is why you might get the publicity from the trusted group with the people you know, but after that, I'm a capitalist and charge a fee for it because that'll make sure you get serious ghost hunters. And this everyone's going to be like, "What? You shouldn't charge?" Or, well, I mean, that's the ghost teams. They shouldn't charge to investigate. But really, if you want to control it, they want access. Put your money where your mouth is because I need to maintain the property. I need to fix the roof. I need all these other things. This takes care of it. So
And
there you go.
being doing investigations, like when Jake and I and Sandra and Melissa went up to the Quinnell Museum, we all chipped in and like to investigate Mandy the Haunted Doll. We all took money from our pocket and donated
Yeah.
it to the museum in a thank you. And
Mhm.
I have no problems doing that at any historic location. Whatever helps keep them afloat or
Mhm.
keeps whatever. We just want to be there to share their story.
Do a lot of those locations, though, will they spread the word on the rules or what should be done or should not be done with an influx of popularity?
Yes,
How do
I
you
would
know
say
that?
yes. Because they told me. To be honest. Yeah, I really preach the respect of the locations and to tell the other places to make sure that that's what teams are doing, because it's not fair to these. I call them delicate properties because we don't know how much longer they'll be around for,
Mhm.
or things like that, to have as much protection and knowledge as possible into what we're doing.
Right. And I guess what I'm saying is, without trying to start a battle or a fight here, because there's no other paranormal teams here on it, but like, for instance, I know there's one location, Mike, that you covered it at the Bailey House in Merritt, British Columbia, where a paranormal team who sees demons everywhere. They're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and there's demons in the peanut butter jar. They went and actually painted over part of the museum without the museum's knowledge. Tell that story.
What?
Yeah, I have the picture. I literally was just looking at that picture today. There was a picture going
One second,
down into.
Merle. One
Yep.
second, because in our intro, if you watch our show on YouTube, we actually show a portion of that video where you can actually see it looks like a devil that's been drawn, and it says heaven or hell, and then there's another statement down below, I believe.
100%. That's exactly what it is. Yep. And
And okay, tell the story. Pardon me for cutting you off.
oh, no worries. So the story of that is the curator nor anyone knows where that came from. That drawing. It was drawn in charcoal or pastel type. No, I don't want to say crayons, but well, whatever. It was half devil, half angel.
Okay.
And when you'd walk down the stairs into the basement, you'd see it. You would see it because the ceiling is low. And whenever I investigated there, it just gave you a feeling. It did something to the house. And this other team came in, and I guess one of their team members said that the spirits want that gone. So they went to the Home Hardware, got some paint, and painted over it without asking, which blows my mind that people would do something like that without getting A, permission, and B, why
Mhm.
would you want to do that to a location? Because that's taking away its natural preservation.
Yeah.
Not only that, but the fact that it's a museum.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What was the response from the museum on that?
They were really unhappy, and like I had a long talk with them. It was the whole same respect talk that I give, and the museum, the curator, or whomever is overseeing the museum has the right to come into your investigation at any moment.
Mm.
And I encourage it. Come check in on us. Come talk to us. Come make sure we're fine. And that at the end of the day, they make the rules and stipulations of their property. We're just a guest. That's it. Nothing
Mhm.
more, nothing less. And I don't think that team's allowed back there. um,
Well, I
but
mean,
no,
just
they're mortified that
yeah,
happened.
but I mean, on this subject matter, when I talk about the owners have a lot more say. If someone puts something out there, I'm going to get all legalese on you, and it harms someone's business, that falls under slander and libel laws. I don't know how Canada works, but if someone, you're a hotel, a group says there's demons here, you get like half the block of reservations get canceled. That team is now on the hook to compensate the hotel for that. So maybe it's because I'm from litigious USA, but when someone harms your business by doing something like that, this is the course you take.
Yeah, Jacob Rice. Not only is he a paranormal videographer, documentarian, but he also likes a good litigious case.
Oh, he
Let me
sure
tell you.
does.
Let me tell you. There are remedies to wrongs.
But I mean, guys, it doesn't matter whether you're in Canada
Yeah.
or the United States. It really, the one thing that I've always said about the paranormal and the reason why I don't care for it as a business is because it's anarchic. There is
Mhm.
no rules. There is no rule book. There is no one out there, any type of society, true society or true governing body,
Mhm.
that is governing the rules and regulations to ghost hunting. And this is where I think a lot of locations get caught off guard because teams will talk very, very nicely to get into a location. What they do there, whether it's alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, or anything, painting
Mhm.
over art, or painting over anything, or ripping up carpets, or digging through dirt. I mean, there really is no rule book, and these poor locations many times are literally taking their location into their own hands with the hope that maybe, just maybe, they don't have to go to the police about vandalism. Like if I was at a museum at the Bailey House, I would have called the police
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
vandalism.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it sucks, but and the house isn't the same since putting my paranormal investigator hat on. Um, the energy there is a lot more unwelcoming. And I wonder if that is a reason to why that it's not as like
Has
the
anybody
ghosts, I mean.
has anybody tried to take the paint off with
Yeah,
any sort of lacquer, and did it work?
no,
It removed the
because it wasn't painted on. It was some sort of chalk or pastel. I don't know what or they didn't even know what they used to paint that on there. It was really old, like ancient.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
See, that's what worries me. And no offense, guys, it worries me about what you're doing because you're promoting all of these really cool locations, and now I fear for them, those locations. And look, you two are some of my best friends in this field. Okay, Merle, you and I are pretty tight. F-22 Rap Merle, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. That is a good one. But like I guess what I'm saying is I'm scared for, like, if I looked at my museum here now that I've stepped away, that they will accept anybody and their dog who has a camera there. And I'm scared that they're going to go in there and they're going to cause a lot of havoc. And they don't know what they're getting into, especially with the one spirit in the barn. right? And I just don't need to be getting phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning to come clean that up,
Yep.
right? But I worry about these locations because, like I said, especially here in Canada, there is a lot of virgin paranormal territory, and these people have no clue how ruthless ghost hunting teams can be.
When we go to the new locations, I try my best to lead by example. That may come off as arrogant, but I just mean by like being respectful and nice and very welcoming and transparent. And I try to instill that that's what they need to look for with other teams that come in there, and that's all they can really do. But I agree with you that a lot of the locations will get trampled or get extreme high traffic, and all the ones I've done over the past years along from here to Barkerville have had a lot of activity since.
Well, and the interesting part about that is in the United States over the last decade or so, we've actually seen a lot of paranormal investigators get arrested for trespassing
Mhm.
into areas where they have no business being, whether it's an abandoned military base, whether it's a cemetery, shopping malls, okay,
Mhm.
absolutely anywhere, Jake. I mean that gets a little at some point the ghost hunting isn't worth breaking the
Correct.
law over.
Yeah, it's not. Like I said, a lot of this stuff can be solved by contacting the owner and say, "Hey, I'll give you some bucks to let me go investigate, or at least prove that you have insurance in case you break something." I mean, if we want to be responsible, put some money out there. That's probably the best way to ramp up the quality of investigator and teams coming to locations is make them pay, make them prove they've got insurance if they break something. It's not that hard to call up your insurance agent to get, I don't know, a $5,000 policy or something like that.
No, no. I fully understand with what you're saying.
Mhm,
And putting a picture up now on our YouTube screen of this character that was painted over by this paranormal group out of British Columbia. It says heaven or earth, coming or going, and then it looks like a demon wolf or
mhm,
cougar or
Devil.
something or devil with horns and on the top, and then on the bottom is a an angel with long blonde hair whose hair wraps around the devil's head. I mean, this thing is eerie,
mhm.
absolutely eerie,
You would
and
see. Oh, sorry, Dave.
somebody go ahead, Merle.
I was just gonna say you could see the devil when you're walking down the stairs, and then when you come back up from the basement, you would see the angel.
Got it.
And
Now
they
what
had no idea how old that was.
No, and you could rub it off with your finger. That's what I mean. It's like
mm,
charcoaly. Yeah,
so what part of this got painted over?
all of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, someone needed to get busted for that.
Yeah, and that's just downright wrong. I don't care if you agree with the message or not. The message creeps me out.
it's creepy. Yeah,
Mhm,
It really does, you know? But I mean, like even with our museum here, Merle, you were here a lot of times when I was investigating. We had a local church, two local churches trying to get back at us, saying that we were causing demonic activity on the museum, which drove people away. And then we had this really dark arts psychic claiming that we were bringing demons in to the place. Never once out of all the paranormal investigators we ever had there said that we were making demons happen. And, but that's just the way some people are.
yeah,
mhm.
Scary,
Yeah.
scary.
When I hear that stuff, the first thing I'm like, "Okay, so prove it.
yeah.
Prove it. How do you prove it? Prove it. Prove you're psychic to begin with." But, that's all you gotta say, "Prove it," and if you can't prove it, you need to shut up. End of discussion.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? When we come back, we're going to turn up the jets on a few of the paranormal stories that you guys have. We're going to learn about why Merle uses the Estes method now. And I want you guys to hear, if you haven't heard Jacob's story about the black eyed child he encountered, on his own property, this one's going to give you shivers. Stick around for the next half hour of Spaced Out Radio. We've got a couple creepy stories coming right at you on the mighty SOR and Ghosts of the Great White North. You got to admit, F-22 Rap Merle is large and in charge.
That's strong. Very strong.
That's very strong. I can't believe the BS people did at that museum. I'm totally shocked by that.
Yeah. When we're there in May, I will show you where that is.
That gets my goat.
Pardon?
That gets my goat. Like, yeah. I'm getting angry just thinking about that.
And the staff and the volunteers and the board of directors, they're wonderful. Like, they're amazing, nice people. They love and cherish that location. Like, love it. And you can tell. Whenever we've done fundraisers there, they'd have little finger sandwiches for all the investigators that would, like, all the members of the public that would come investigate with us. Yeah, it's fun. And they tell stories of the history.
Yeah, so you know what, and this is why I can see do it paratourism style, simply because you have far more control. You know, it's 2 hours. You got guides. You have to have staff there. I totally understand. It's the best way to control it. For crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and dude, the 6 locations that I've heard from in the past week are all untapped. So we gotta make sure the respect. Where do you want to take it next half hour?
I don't know. We can talk about the fun.
Remember, we're live right now too.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I know. But everyone, this shouldn't be a shock because I posted it places. We have the new documentary that will probably drop at the end of the week.
Yes.
I won't go into too much detail because I figure you'll want to talk about that one.
Yeah. Okay.
And, well, we haven't even talked about, like, the Inn. We haven't talked about Sunset. We haven't talked about Rodmay.
Haven't talked about Spokane. Dude, we got 1 hour left. 58 minutes.
Yeah. I'm just reading the comments. I haven't even looked.
Me too. My nose is plugged. I hope you can't hear me mouth breathing.
No, I can't.
I keep muting my thing, like to do a big sniff, but
yeah.
I feel like a woolly mammoth.
Yeah, my allergies are starting to kick up. It's been warm down here, so the trees are waking up, and that's my allergy. So I'm like, I goop. See, this is what happens when you get old, folks. You start talking about allergies and sinus.
No, dude. Do you know what happens when you get old? We just covered it the last half hour. The kids today. We use
all those whippersnappers on the TikTok.
Never thought I'd be these kids today guy.
I know.
Here we are.
We have to entertain the kids because it's the only way they retain or learn anything. Got to gamify.
When I was young, I listened to the history. It's true. History's different now. Yep.
Just read. Well, we're getting more history nowadays. That's good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the Canadian stuff. I don't know how many people on the show are but this is all a whole new world to me. So,
well, you're basically 50% Canadian.
I am. I have spent plenty of summer up by Ottawa, Ontario. For folks listening, I used to go up to Ottawa, Ontario to visit my grandparents all the time as a kid.
And I'm drinking tea. Yeah, kids today. Well,
I'm having the Mountain Dew. Could use some more too.
I even had a Ouija glass. I was ready for.
Hot damn! Let me see that Ouija glass.
This is a good one. You see it?
It's a little blurry, but it looks like the Ouija game is strong with that mug.
Yeah, it is.
A nice mug. Yeah.
But the best part of our exploratory investigation documentaries this year is they're not on the gold. One is on the Gold Rush Trail. Two are on the Gold Rush Trail, but the others, nope.
Nope. The most recent documentary that we have coming out was filmed right in my home state of Washington.
In your house.
My house isn't haunted, but unless you count the dogs. Which I'm kind of surprised Roxy hasn't. She's right here. I'm surprised she hasn't popped up. What's that, Dave?
I'd like you to come film my house.
Okay.
Yes.
I could. Merle's seen it in action. I come with my studio.
Comes with like 36 cameras. You think I talk about gear, cameras, or what the latest tech is, Dave? Whew. You're gonna need a beer.
My cameras are Junior, Baby, and Baby Daddy.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey, guys, I want to say a big thank you to Jake, Nancy, Deb, and Lala for the amazing super chats tonight. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much. Hello, little Timmy Senor, a.k.a. the Timbit. How you doing, buddy? Well, can't wait to get you on a little bit later on with Random Guy. Who else has jumped in here a little bit late? Donna Willis, thank you. She says, please come to Fredericton, New Brunswick. Trust me, Donna, that may be closer than what you think. If Merle and I have anything to say about that. Right, Merle? Scott Jensen, how you doing? Don't forget to Merle it up, people in the chat room. All right? Got to get this thing going here. All right. Here we go. 2 seconds.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. We really do appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us tonight, Clam? Let's take a look. Badinage. Badinage is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go, hour number 2 of Ghosts of the Great White North. My main man Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers out of Vancouver, British Columbia, joins us tonight as he does once a month to talk everything supernatural. Our special guest tonight, paranormal researcher and documentarian Jacob Rice out of the state of Washington. And thank you, gentlemen, for coming on in. And Jake, I want to start with you on this one because you scared about a year ago now, scared the daylights out of me with this incredible black-eyed kid story that happened on your property. Now, my audience loves black-eyed kid stories. So first of all, before you tell your story, maybe explain to our audience what the black-eyed kid phenomena is.
Well, I wish we could really know what they were or what they are, but it has something to do with you get it could be a single kid or a couple of kids, probably between 8 and 12 years old. And they usually are wearing slightly worn out clothes. Hoodies are pretty common. And what happens is these kids look like humans, but they may not necessarily be humans. And they usually come up asking for help or assistance. Usually you're alone, either at home, you could be driving a parking lot, something like that. These kids will approach, ask to get in a car, get a ride, come in your house to use the phone, something like that. But when you look in their eyes, there's this inky black, and I don't know if they're draining life force out of you, but there's some kind of like psychic vampirism with them. and it can knock people out. The strongest urban legends I've heard about them is it puts people into a coma. But let's just say you get a nasty hangover after one of these encounters with them, and after they do their business, they just vanish. So we don't know if they're some kind of psychic entity, a paranormal entity for sure. Some people say they're aliens. I haven't looked into that link at all. So there you go. How was that, Dave?
I think that's a great explanation. And this encounter that you had, I think people need to know who you are a little bit, because you're actually quite a skeptical fellow.
Hmm.
You try and debunk absolutely everything, and I would say for the most part you're usually right on what you're able to debunk, especially the technology that is all coming out. And you've given very many warnings to people who are ghost hunters out there to say, look, save your money, don't buy this piece of gear. I bought it, I tested it out, because your daytime job, you are a technologist
Hmm.
by
Yeah.
trade, and so you're trying to actually help improve the community by spending your own hard-earned money, which could be sometimes $50 or sometimes $1,500 on a piece of equipment that doesn't work.
Or isn't shown to work correctly on the shows.
Right.
So
So let's go to this black-eyed kid
yeah,
experience. Did you believe in them before this happened?
I did not. I didn't know a soul that had met these things. My experience with them before January 2nd of 2022 was, what I've seen on In Search of Monsters and all the other, paranormal shows on Discovery and Travel Channel. Or, Reddit is really good with their Black Eyed Kid subreddits. If you haven't gone there and to check them out, a lot of people post their encounters there. But really, all I know is if there was a shock doc on Discovery, that's about it. That's about all I know.
All right, so tell our audience what happened.
Okay, so it's January 2nd, 2022. I remember this very clearly to this day. It was about 4:30, starting to get dark. And I live in Washington State, and where I was, we had just been dumped on lots of snow, and it was now melting. And I was just at my computer when I heard I have a wireless buzzer, and I heard the buzzer go off. So I look outside, and I have a gate. It's about 6 feet high. It's cedar planks. And usually I'm like, oh, is it Amazon, or am I getting a delivery or something? Because it wasn't planned. So I look out my window and I can't see anything, but I have security cameras, and I have one pointed right at the buzzer outside the gate. And I looked and I didn't see anything. So the first thing that I thought is, oh, great, the snow melting is screwing up the buzzer system. So I should probably go get this fixed. So I come out, let the dogs out. I've got 5 dogs, big dogs, pit bulls. And, I walk up to the gate, and as I'm approaching, there's like about 1/4 inch gaps in each one of the planks. It's wood fence. And I could see a kid just standing there. And so the dogs are playing. They're not really paying much attention to me at the time. And I'm like, oh, hi, do you need help? And the kid, it was a boy. I'm thinking he's about 10. I'm not that tall to begin with. So the kid is probably 4'8", I'm guessing. Anyway, he's wearing a hoodie. He's got blue jeans on, and which isn't really appropriate for the weather, is what I'm thinking. And so I'm like, so can I help you? And he's like, I need to use your phone. Can you let me into you use your phone? I'm like, well, no, I've got my cell phone right here. What's your parents' number? I'll call them. Are you staying down the street? Because the road that I live on, for the half-mile stretch of my road, there's only 3 houses, and I'm in the middle. So there's one, to the east and west of me, essentially. On the other side is just a big open field, which is now covered with snow. So I don't know where this kid would have come from. And I'm like, no, just give me your parents' number. And he's like, can you just let me in? I need to use your phone. And so the kid's coming up to the fence, but he has his hoodie down. And from what I could tell, he looked either Hispanic or Native American. He had kind of olive skin. But his hoodie was over his face, and he just said one more time, "Let me in so I can use your phone." And then Mikey, who's my biggest pit bull, he's got like this gator head. He comes over by me and starts barking at the kid. And when I turn to shush him and look back, the kid's gone. So then I opened up the gate to go through, and it's just an empty roadway, empty field. There's no footprints around. And so I'm like, I don't know where this kid is. So I went back to check my footage on the camera, and you can see me walking up to the fence, but there's no one on the other side. Never recorded a person on the other side. So I'm like, so I called Merle. And I'm like, dude, this just happened. And he had just recently had some black-eyed kid activity too. I didn't know about. And I guess Mikey saved the day because I didn't look into the kid's eyes. That's
Merle, you
my
had
black-eyed kid.
action.
I did. I had a dream and they were in it, and it was so terrifying. I have it written down. I remember vaguely offhand. Basically, I was in a vacant building and they kept following me, and I could see them in the mirrors. There was a boy and a girl, and they were, yeah, like the same age as the ones Jake was describing, but they were wearing Victorian clothes, and they kept saying, "Let me in." And I remember locking a bathroom door. I was in this old Victorian home, and they kept yelling, "Let me in." But then it would turn really low and disgusting, like demonic-y sounding, like what you hear in the movies. And I remember waking up, and I swear to the gods that they were standing right beside me. It was horrible.
That is just, I've never experienced anything like that. So that's just kind of creepy. I mean, Jake, getting back to your story, I mean, what do you think that was? Do you think it was a ghost, a spirit, something maybe a little demonic?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I thought is maybe I had a ghost. Maybe a kid got hit on the road at some point. Maybe this was an anniversary. I hadn't been living in the house that long. It's a new house, so I don't really know the history of the area. When I went back to do like newspapers.com and search for any kids that might have died on my street, been hit by a car or something, there was nothing. So, I don't know what it could be. At the end of the day, for black-eyed kids, I think it's pretty much unsettled what they are.
Mhm.
What goes through you as a person when you have this happen? Explain that.
Well, the shivers first that you get, like, holy stuff, when something like that happens. It was kind of post. It was when I went back to review the security cameras. I was like, kind of thing. Yeah, you're kind of dumbfounded on it. Then of course I start binging on information, so now I know a lot more about black-eyed kids. But apparently, what I experienced is not an uncommon experience for people that meet them. A lot of people don't let them in or engage with the kids. Um, yeah, I'm just thankful Mikey got pissed off at the kid.
I just couldn't imagine what that's like. And look, I've seen some pretty weird stuff, and Merle has been with me a lot of times when we've seen some pretty weird stuff happen, and Merle and I have dealt with a lot of spirits together. One of the most trippy ones was in the museum barn where we saw this 6-foot black shadow spider crawling
Oh,
across the ceiling. That was horrible, Merle.
that was disgusting, dude.
Let's
Like a
play that.
creeper.
Let's play that one out, because at the museum where I used to do my tours, they put up this one idiot who's on the council. And I call him an idiot because he was a firefighter for 35 years. So therefore, there's no such thing as paranormal. I don't know how the two
Right.
correlate, but apparently they do. Inside the barn, there used to be an old jail cell from the old RCMP depot in town. And he thought it would be great to take one of the Clydesdale stalls inside the barn. Happened to be the one that we caught. We had guests actually catch the face of a Clydesdale horse sticking out of the doorwell. Okay, because they have half doors, right? And he decides he's going to build a jail cell. Well, the museum argument was that jail cell had been laying in that barn for 25 years and nothing happened. And I said, yes, but when you put it back together, it re-energizes itself. And what does a jail cell do? It's negative. It brings in negativity from murderers to petty thieves. Brings in all that negativity. So they wanted us to investigate it to see if there was anything bad about it. So Merle had his partner Sandra there, and we had one of the museum people there named Tanya. And they walked inside the jail cell, and Merle and I are on the outside. And all of a sudden, from right to left, we see this really dark shadow, kind of, you know how a spider moves really creepy, crawly, and fast? Whiz across the ceiling, right through, they had this tarp there, right through the tarp. And then it came back through the tarp, and it sat there right on the ceiling. And the ceiling's what, Merle? 12-foot ceiling, 10-foot ceiling?
Yep.
Okay. And it sat there on this ceiling right in front of the jail cell while the ladies are inside the cell. And then it wisped like a spider would. It wisped its way back in the way it came. And it was there for about a minute or two.
Yeah,
And
it was. I don't know what it was, but it looked. It looked like the exorcism thing, like, going down the stairs, like upside down person. That's what it looked like when it was crawling towards us on the roof. Or sorry, the ceiling. And yeah, just reliving that now. I haven't thought about that in quite some time, but now that I'm thinking about it again, that was terrifying. Because I don't know what that was, and I don't know where it came from or what. Like, has it been seen since, or was it just that time? Was it from the jail cell?
it's funny though, because that entire barn down below now, it used to have 4 or 5 spirits in it. Doesn't have any now.
It used to be extremely active.
Yeah. Whatever that jail cell did, it eliminated all of the spirits on the bottom floor. All of them, except there's one by the front gate, the front door entry, and it hasn't touched anything upstairs. But I think there's a few brawls that go on between the dude upstairs and whatever's in that jail cell.
Yeah, no, I miss investigating that place because we always got really good research there, good evidence.
Do ghost hunters still go up there? Do they still do tours of the place? And
They have only had one crew come up there since I left the tour and told them to hit the road. And that was a television show called Beyond the Haunting.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, and they did a 2-hour ghost Gold Rush Trail ghost tour that ended in Barkerville. Started in Yale in the canyon and ended in Barkerville. And it was a quick shoot. And after that they wanted me to come back and see if I would restart the tour. And I just said, guys, there's just too much history here. Like I would love to. Our team would love to, but when you're accusing us of breaking and entering into buildings and ripping these buildings apart during the tour, that's kind of hard to get over. When we just donated $14,000 to you over the last 3 years and never asked for a penny in return. But no, we're going to wreck those buildings and we're going to break and enter. Right? So it's a little bit of a sore point for me, but you take that location though. of the 108 heritage site. And I know those people in there, and I know how foolish, I'm going to use the word foolish because I don't think stupid is the right word, but foolish they are to ghost hunters and ghost teams. Okay. And they don't fully understand how just allowing anybody in there could destroy it. Like the team that did that, painted over that picture at Bailey House. I remember they actually a few years previous had inquired about filming at the 108. And they are allegedly known for clearing spirits out of the building. And I said you would have to sign a contract that says you're not clearing any spirits. And just so that doesn't happen, I will be going on tour standing in the background while you're filming your YouTube show. And there was a little bit of a long pause, and yeah, we could do that. Not a problem, not a problem. And we don't clear spirits. Yes, you do. And all of a sudden they knew their gig was up. Right. And they tried everything. Like, well, we don't usually allow other people on our sets when we're shooting. I said, hey guys, this is the rules.
Mhm.
This is the rules. This is the way it goes. You don't like it, you don't have to shoot here.
Mhm.
But it worries me because that location deserves much better than what it's getting. And other locations do too. But let's talk about some other. We got about 3 minutes to go here before we got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Goes to the Great White North with our main man, Merle, and special guest, Jacob Rice tonight. Merle, let's get into some of your better hauntings that you have investigated recently. You've had some exciting times, and you also late last year had a video go viral on TikTok regarding a haunted street.
We did. I think our TikTok video has over 500,000 views of Haunted Keeping Road. So there's a road in a town called Abbotsford, British Columbia. Um, and it said that witches used to use the forest in this area. Bodies have been dumped on this road. People have practiced black magic down there. There's been a lot of drug dealing, a lot of gang activity there. Vehicles have been torched. A lot of the words on the street are that you'll see a lady in white walking down the middle of the road. There's a ghost dog that'll come bite your tires. Um, if you flash your lights at the trees, you'll see a man in one of the trees. And Sandra and I went there. So when that video took off on TikTok, we had so many people from Abbotsford say, "Hey, we used to go there in high school and we saw this. You guys should try this technique, or you guys should do this test." So we took the top, I think, 3 or 4 tests of what people said will attract the spirits or get you the activity of the road. And we filmed it. We went there, we drove up and down the street, tried to attract the lady, tried to have the dog bite our tires or chase our vehicle. We another story was if you put your car keys on the hood of your car and go in your vehicle, apparently a woman or a girl will run out of the forest, take your keys and run away. We did that reluctantly. And nothing. We got nothing. It's really creepy. It's a really remote road. No one will hear you screaming. Nobody will hear a gun go off. They'll hear nothing. It's remote, up a big. They call it Sumas Mountain, and we're gonna go back because there's a couple other tests we want to try. Dave, you've been on that road. You're from.
I have. I'm
Yeah.
born and raised in Abbotsford.
Yeah.
And you know what? There was actually an old mansion out there that was abandoned that was turned into a satanic ritualistic house.
Yes.
And it was funny. I never was able to find the road it was on, but from certain parts on different streets, you could see the house. But just finding how to get to that house was impossible for me.
It was at the
And
oldest keeping road.
yes, I
Mhm.
understand that. And you know what? Knowing that area and knowing it has a gravity hill on it by the Ledgeview Golf Course,
Mhm.
it's an interesting place. Very interesting. Ghosts of the Great White North. We got our man Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers and Jacob Rice coming at you. More ghost stories as we continue the paranormal night. Before we turn it over to the UFO guys, Tim Senor and Random Guy. Space Out Radio next. No, you know what? True story. I once had a client come into my office, and I was talking to her about her finances and everything like that. And I said to her, I'm going to ask you a few questions because part of my job is to take a credit application. And I said, how much is your property worth? She goes, I don't want to tell you. I said, come on, I need to know. $1 million, $2 million? She goes, no. And I said, 10 million? She goes, my property was assessed at over $60 million.
Jesus.
I said, well, where do you live? She goes, well, my family pretty much owned all at top of Sumas Mountain where they do all the gravel pits and the oils, rigs, and everything. 60 million. I looked at her and I just said, marry me. Right? And she started laughing. Hey, Big Texas, how you doing, buddy?
It's really
Overbuilt
creepy road. It's creepy up there.
Yeah. And you know what? That whole area that they put up there, my sister used to live up there, just beyond Ledgeview. What the hell was it called? Oh, I called it the snootiest place in Abbotsford because all of the Joneses type people had to live up there. You know, you had your choice of 3 different houses that you could build, and it was like one big, I don't even know how to put it.
Gated community?
Yeah, gated community. And my sister and her ex-husband lived up there, and the people up there were just horrific. Absolutely horrific. I hated going there.
So it's not just the vibes for you up there.
Nope.
Yeah, next half hour, we got to have Jake talk about all of his documentaries that are coming out.
Well, we'll get
and
into
have come out
Yeah.
because we have some Barkerville area ones. We've got in Wells Sunset Theater.
I love it when you guys travel past me and don't even invite
Here
me.
we go.
I love that.
That one I stopped. We stopped on that trip.
Yeah, on the way back for like 8 minutes. 8 minutes.
I mean, I brought you candies
And RC Cola.
Yes. When Merle came down for Cape Disappointment, which is our next documentary, is the Haunted Lighthouse one. He brought like a ton of Canadian goodies we don't get. I just love those cheesy poofs, man. Those are the best cheesy poofs
Ever.
Hostess ones. Like, you know, like the really hard ones, the cheesies.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love those.
Let's say hello to Philip Blair and Micheline O'Rourke Johansson. And we're wishing you and your father well. Your father apparently had a heart attack. So, well, let's all send some loving and healing spirit over to Micheline's family. And who else do we got here? I think that's it. All right. No, my sister's ex, his brother was the emergency dink, Mystic Swak. Yeah. My ex brother-in-law, his brother, used to be a firefighter, and he had a shrine of himself in his own house.
What?
Yeah. Rugged. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. He had a shrine to himself in his own house. And we nicknamed him around here before my nephew's wedding this summer. We nicknamed him the emergency dink. Yeah. All right. Big thank you to our super chatters tonight, Lala, Deb, Nancy, and Jake. Very much appreciate the love and support. Spaced Out Radio. I will be in San Francisco, California, March 17th through 19th, hosting UFOCon 2023. Would love for you to join us. Come to UFOCon2023.com and get your tickets today. And if you haven't signed up for our Vegas fan party on May 19th through 21st at the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas, you could come meet me and Merle and many other of our special guest celebrities. We want all of you there. Tickets are $60 or $100 for VIPs, and you get special VIP stuff as well. So come join us. Info at spacedoutradio.com. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can also listen to us on every podcast format out there like Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple iTunes, Google Play. We're all over the place. You pick it, we got it. Deezer, yeah, we're on Deezer too, in case you're a Deezer type of person. All right, let us continue on here. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and for the time being, until it gets shut down, TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Yeah, goes to the Great White North. Continuing on with our good friend Merle, the Merle's drone, and Jake Rice, documentarian. Now, before we get to more stories, Jake, you have had a very busy time here, you and Merle, collecting some documentaries and doing a lot of filming and putting them out.
Yeah, so I think we will have our 5th documentary out
Wow.
this weekend. We could let's talk about that one a little bit, but the first series, heavy on the Canadian history. We started off with Ghosts at the Inn, which is our very first official documentary that was filmed in Powell River, British Columbia, along is it the Sunshine Coast? I'm sorry if I
Yes.
got that wrong. Sunshine Coast, old lumber mill town, pulp mill town, and we stayed at one of the historic it was a government building back in the day, but now it's been turned into an inn kind of. It's got a bit of a bed and breakfast feel to it, but lots of amazing history and ghostly activity there. The next one we had was the Sunset Theater, which was up in Wells, British Columbia by Barkerville. And we got to investigate. Oh, it was like a 110-year-old building, or was it built in the 30s? I can't remember when it was built. I know the piano was 110 years old.
Piano was 110. The theater was built in the 20s.
20s. You spent some time as a morgue.
Yeah.
For a brief period. Let's just say there was a very happy ghost playing with the piano, or playing the piano while we were there. After that, Hotel Rodmay. That was actually filmed while we were at Ghosts at the Inn, which is the old courtyard inn, old
Courthouse.
Yeah, old courthouse inn, because it was a courthouse. But we did Hotel Rodmay, which was another one of the pioneer type hotels that was built when the team was growing. That was an adventure. We could only put parts of it in the documentary for privacy.
Mm-hmm.
But that was quite an adventure. That thing is loaded with, was it the Chinese Tong gang?
Yep.
Had some activity going on there. And then our most recent one that's out is Ghosts at the Lodge at Alexandra Lodge. We talked about that one quite a bit, but the next one, we can pitch
I'm
it right
rolling.
now, I guess. It's called Ghosts at the Lighthouse. It was filmed at Cape Disappointment, and we did an investigation into the suicide of Mary Piesonen, who was the lighthouse keeper's wife, as well as trying out some new techniques, which, Dave, are you ready? One of those experiments went a little heavy on the woo.
No.
Yes, we did. We call it the North Head technique.
We invented it.
And the woo part is it's a modern take on the seance. But so people come around, connect hands, positive intentions, raise the positivity, life force kind of thing. But we're
Raise the
using
energy.
you're raising the energy, but we're using ITC devices like an Ovilus, EMF detectors like a Paralight Plus for the ghost to interact with. And while Merle is doing the Estes method. So you can imagine you got the candles, everyone's holding hands, you've got these neon glowing lights from all the gadgets, and Merle is rattling off what the Estes has to say.
Yeah.
Spirits are communing through Merle as well as the gadgets. And on top of that, we did a telegraphy test. I was there sending Morse code, and we were getting phantom Morse code returned to us. So you'll see all of that in that documentary. Did I spoil too much? I don't know.
No.
It can be on YouTube, so go ahead. You just might drop it this weekend.
I think that's fantastic that you guys are getting all of that. What does that mean for people who may not understand? What do these methods mean that you're testing out? Whether it's the Estes method or this other one.
You want to take that, Merle?
No, this is all you. This you're pushing the lighthouse. This is all Jake time.
Yeah, so with the lighthouse, well, we'll start with the telegraphy test part of it. So this is the little thing you key to send Morse code. I got one of those because at the lighthouse, they had a huge telegraph tower there. It used to transmit to all the ships coming off shore in case there was an emergency or something. And understanding it's the graveyard of the Pacific, there's a lot of death. There are a lot of ships in distress. So and this shout out to Rachel Breivik because she noticed this about the lighthouse. We used that just in case there could be some ghost ships still around because it is loaded with shipwrecks. And a lot of sailors had died either crushed on the rocks or known to climb the sea cliffs and fall when they're trying to be rescued. That's a little hyperbolic with the history, but it did happen. And so just by keying it, it was, will the spirits respond to this? Because this would have been, understanding the lighthouse was built in 1898. This would have been the most popular way to communicate. And while I was able to debunk the phantom Morse code, we started to get all this crazy stuff with motion sensors going off, EVPs, so those ghost voices you hear on your recordings. But the other big thing is we got a DVP, so direct voice phenomenon. We could hear someone talk to us in the lighthouse keeper's residence. So that was, and it's really weird doing this because the gadgets we're using may not necessarily be tuned to spirit communication, but let's just say the spirits let you know they were in the house.
That is just incredible. And what goes through your mind when all of a sudden you get that sort of communication?
Holy F word is pretty much what goes through. Though I think the wilder thing was when we were doing the North Head technique, which is the modern take on the seance, because we're asking questions. Merle can't hear us because, say, when you do the Estes method, you've got a spirit box, so the radio thing that goes through all the radio frequencies. And he's got these headphones on that dampen all the sound by like 25 decibels. So you can't hear someone talking next to you. And so we're asking questions. He's legit responding. The other crazy thing is we have the Paralight, an EMF detector. It's like a lantern that has rainbow colors that will flash when it detects energy anomalies. And we're asking ghosts to touch it. They touch it 3 times like it was commanded. We did not get EVPs during the session, but the Ovilus, which I think is usually a piece of crap gadget, it actually gave correct answers to the questions, and normally it never shuts up. Over the entire 50 minutes Merle's under doing this thing, it only responded 8 times, and it actually answered everything we asked as it should.
See,
So
going into this experiment we were doing, I was like, "Oh god, Jake has the Ovilus out. Oh god, here we go." Um, but because I poop on that one all the time, and watching the video and playback, it was kind of neat just to see the correlated responses because I have the blindfold on, I have the earphones on, and to hear them ask their questions and me answer them was pretty creepy actually to watch because I think that's the best reactions we've had doing that.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. I think that's absolutely wonderful. And for people who may not know what the Estes method is, Merle, why don't you explain that one?
So the Estes method is a form of sensory deprivation. You take your spirit box. So Jake would he'd have a spirit box, he'd have his headphones on, and he'd have a blindfold on. So Jake can't see or hear anything but the sound of the white noise of the spirit box. And we all know that it's said that a spirit is said to be able to manipulate the AM/FM frequencies to spit out words. Um, the unique thing about our spirit box is we've taken the antenna out and we've cut the wires, so there is no radio that comes through on it. And with Jake's senses heightened because he can't see or hear, when I'm asking questions, usually it could be from a different room or beside him. He has no clue. Um, we get really interesting answers to our questions. So it's basically doing a spirit box a spirit box session, but with sensory deprivation.
Yeah. And
All right.
And the other part is because part of this is we wanted to do something old school. So we had the Polaroids, we had an RCA tape recorder that we were using, we had a compass. The compass, some of this stuff is because of the age of the spirits we're probably connecting with. A new gadget would probably be very intimidating to them. So we try to use older gear so it'd be more familiar and more likely to interact. So one of the things we did was Ouija board. We did a Ouija board session too. Like I said, spiritualist themed, a talking board. And while I would say the results of the Ouija board were mixed, we picked up EVPs. And I think that's the thing. You're using all these modern gadgets. Maybe ghosts they don't want to interact or touch them, but they'll talk. And you still need to have things available to collect that. So, while the Ouija board session, I mean, it was interesting. The EVPs we got from that session were far more interesting.
I see that. What kind of communication are you getting? Give us an example.
Well, like during the Ouija board session, it was pretty much aimed at what happened to Mary Watson Piesonen, who was the lighthouse keeper's wife. But as they're asking questions, you would get what sounds like someone standing behind you and breathing. Another part of it is when you kick off, you say these are intentions. You're getting EVPs. They're saying, "Hey, how are you?"
Hmm.
Just like someone is talking to you. But the planchette going around, I would say, was we got an age. We might have identified someone involved with the accident that took Mary's life as well. For the telegraph session, which was the Morse code one, that was wild because I don't think we were expecting to get EVPs from
No.
that one. But the whole theme about the lighthouse from all of our sessions, there was this big theme around go, leaving, coming. Like there were certain phrases we kept getting all the time. And I don't know if they were saying, you need to go. We did get one response that said, do run.
Hmm.
A lot of it was either people were, I don't know if they were transiting through but it was all very travel kind of related.
Could be from the
Coming,
ghost.
going, leaving. That was a lot of the responses that we would get across the board with all of our experiments.
Oh, very interesting. Now, the spirits, how do they react to this kind of communication or this type of investigation?
Well, Merle, it was interesting with him when we were doing the North Head technique. It seemed like he was being targeted. Um, that a spirit wasn't very happy with what we were doing. Now, the people that lived in the residence were part of the Unity movement, which didn't believe in medicine and definitely didn't believe in the occult. And you could tell by the responses that were going on, Merle was talking to perhaps different spirits because some of them seemed to be curious and others just wanted it to stop.
Mhm.
And so I could see that. So when you watch specifically the North Head technique, you'll get some are curious at the beginning, and as the session goes on, it becomes obvious someone doesn't want you to continue with what you're doing.
Aggravated. Yep.
I mean, it did look eerie. You have all these crazy lights, and things beeping,
Candles.
big old candles on the table, people holding hands, singing "Kumbaya," blah blah blah, and Merle wearing this crazy getup, blind with a headset on, talking to them. I mean, it would be. I would think if you were someone from the 1910s, maybe 1920s, you'd be like, "What the hell is this?"
Get out of my house.
But then at other times during the telegraph session, there wasn't anything I would say. Didn't There was just more curiosity coming and checking out what was happening, but not necessarily wanting to get involved. And you'll see that especially with the staircase.
Were the spirits violent at all?
I mean, one of them was kind of probably pissed that we were there, but other than that, it was kind of, I would say, neutral. I wouldn't say we had the one spirit with the "How are yous" and the girl's voice.
Tolerant.
Yeah, tolerant. I would say tolerant overall.
They were tolerant of Merle.
We're tolerating Merle, except in that bedroom upstairs. They were getting all fresh with him.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
They were getting fresh with Merle. Yeah.
No, you got to tell us this story.
So Jake was getting strapped in for the Estes method upstairs. So the bedroom that we did his session in was on Ghost Adventures, where Zach Baggins got possessed or taken over by the spirit of the house. So of course we got to do a session in there, right? So
Nice.
while I'm filming Jake, I'm asking the questions during his session. And I just kept feeling it wasn't wind because there was no wind around me. Obviously, we're going to try and debunk everything before we call what we think it could be. So I kept feeling something come closer to me and like blow on my neck, like right below my ear, like over and over. I'd get creeped out. Then I would be in flight mode where I'm like, okay, I'm done. I gotta run, gotta leave. But then I would be like, no, just chill. You're not the run guy anymore. So it happened, I think, 3 or 4 times while Jake was doing his session. And I think I actually did call it because of that.
You did. Yeah, you marked it. You marked it.
Yeah. Just a weird sensation.
Let's get to some audience questions here. Tim wants to know, have you ever filmed yourselves using a Ouija board while you were all blindfolded?
Next one. That's a good idea. Actually, what I did buy is I bought a Victorian automatic planchette. So it's like a Ouija planchette, and you put a quill or a pencil. You screw a quill or a pencil in it, and you would put a blindfold on with a piece of paper, and it said a spirit will write words through this. And that actually, I'm off to Spokane, and we're going to try that technique with a blindfold. So it's kind of like using a Ouija board with a blindfold.
I've never done it. Never done it. Let's go to Gloria. Have you ever heard of the drowning child EVP?
Oh, no.
That is one I wouldn't want to hear.
No.
No. I get real sick to my stomach to anything that deals with kids. Let's go to Nicole. Ever get apports or physical manifestations?
Like a full body apparition. I saw one on the SS Sycamoose where I saw the captain of the boat and he looked at me and disappeared. Sometimes we'll see spirits. I have.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only time I've seen a full-bodied was Suicide Bridge in Pasadena, California. It was during broad daylight, and she came and went quickly. Lady wearing a black dress on the bridge. But that I do have some apparitions and pictures, but with my own eyes. Just that one time.
Yeah, for me, it would be I've never seen the guy up on the stairs. I've seen his energy.
Hmm.
I've never seen him fully. And I know I've been attacked by him. He's not fun. He's not fun at all. And then, full body apparitions, the guy in my backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy by the tree in my backyard. I mean, watching him just standing there staring at me and then vanish into nothing right in front of me, that was weird. Philip wants to know, what do you guys have planned for Spokane?
Ho ho. Staying in a Victorian house. Gonna go visit the Paranorthwest team and Amanda Paulson, known as Pretty Effin' Spooky, and we're gonna be doing a 3-night investigation.
Which I'm not.
No, Dave. Here comes the and. Before he said that, cryptid investigation when there's no snow. How do you feel about that?
Oh, who are you doing the cryptid one with?
I'm calling you out on the radio.
Wow.
Summertime. Everyone heard it. Everyone heard it.
Did I actually get invited by Merle? Wow.
Put your pads on, Dave. You're coming up to the big leads.
Wow. That's just amazing. We'll hook up with Nate and Corey Rudd there too, with Washington, Idaho Bigfoot Society.
Okay, cool. Yeah, they're in Spokane, aren't they?
They're in Spokane too.
Cool.
Yeah. We got 2 minutes left, gentlemen. 2 minutes left before we got to say goodnight here on Ghosts of the Great White North with Merle and otherwise known as Unidentified Merlian Phenomena. Yes. But Jake, for you, what comes up next?
Well, we got the Lighthouse that comes out most likely this weekend. Just some minor tweaks to the edit. And then after that, it'll be after Merle's investigation. I'll get to cutting. I don't think we have a name for it yet, but it'll be the Spokane investigation. We have a few more road trips planned from there on out. I don't know if I should talk about them just yet, but you can find everything on the YouTube channel Ghostly Activities under documentaries. We've got all the documentaries there if you want to check it out.
That's kind of cool. A quick question here from Human Carl. Has anyone ever used a Ouija board upside down?
Well, I guess technically your angle of when you're doing it could be upside down. No, I haven't.
I haven't either.
I have. Because
Yeah?
I was at the wrong position. Somebody was sitting in front where the letters were, and I was in the back. So, yeah, nothing changed.
Okay.
Nothing changed. Let everybody know where they can find these videos that you guys are cutting up here, gentlemen.
You want that one, Merle? Okay. I mean, so Ghostly Activities on YouTube. There's a playlist for documentaries right up top. You can go there. I've got some where I don't investigate with Merle there too, like a Thornwood Castle. So you can check those out there. And then on my website, ghostandmonsters.com, there's a lot more ghostly information there that you can get. I also have cryptids on it because I love a monster.
I know you like a good monster.
I just learned all about Ogopogo.
I got to bring you up here to our Bigfoot site.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to do that. Jake Rice, always a pleasure to have you here, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Merle,
fun to be here.
always a pleasure to have you here from the Paranormal Road Trippers. Go find them all on social media. Coming up next, we're going to head to the swamp. Then, little Timmy Senor is going to be here for the UFO report. There may be a random guy sighting as well. Spaced Out Radio's Hour 3 continues right after this. All right, guys, great job
Thank you, sir.
tonight.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah, as soon as guys, as soon as the snow is melted, probably in early May in that area, we're going right back up.
Awesome.
So, whatever you want to come on in, come on up and do it. Just come on up.
Sounds good. Are the drums still set up?
Oh yeah,
Perfect.
yep.
I'll bring the cameras.
I got a new guitar today.
Oh,
What
yeah?
kind?
What kind?
I went to get Colby's skates sharpened today, and he's got a pawn shop in there. He's got a Flying V Dean VX guitar. He had it on for $145. I gave him $100 for it. I went on Amazon to see what their cost is. It's about $500.
Ooh,
Damn.
nice.
Yeah, so I got a black on black Flying V now.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
You need
pretty
that Gretsch. You need that Gretsch.
No, Gretches are. I'm way too young for a Gretsch, and they're ugly anyways.
I love them. My favorite.
Yeah, yeah. So bought it for my son so he could rock out
Nice.
and go from there. All right. See you guys.
All right.
Ciao.
Take care.
Merle will talk soon. Jake will talk soon.
Yeah, Merle, I'll call.
Yeah, Merle, he'll call you later. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Sean Davis, welcome to SOR chat. Raul. Oh, anytime you want to brawl it out, Raul, I'm here for you, buddy. I am here for you. Little Johnny Davies, how are you? Dark Protocol, thanks for coming on in. And you guys sit back, relax. I will be right back. Hi, Jerry Carter. And go from there. Be right back. right. We having fun yet or what? Hello, United We Stand. Tim Mothman, how are you? I'll show you a picture of my boy here. One second here. Where is it here? There it is. There's my boy playing his guitar. Cool, eh? Yeah. Thank you to Jake, Nancy, Deb, and Lala for the super chats tonight. Wonderful way to support what we do. Hi, Thomas Rock. How you doing? And let's get things going here with hour number 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Kicking off the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple iTunes, Google Play, and every other big time podcast network out there. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Badinage. Badinage is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as a clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again for us to head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller takes us on another spooky journey.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp.
My husband and I play music together. And in August 2017, we were on tour through Nevada and California. We decided after Reno that we'd drive through Yosemite to our next show in Fresno. We opted to take the arguably less scenic route, traveling down the California-Nevada border. By the time we made it to the 120 for Yosemite, it was dark. But since our van was our home and we didn't have to mess with the tent, we weren't that concerned. We figured we would just stop at the first campsite we saw along the route, park the van, and explore the next day. The further we go, the darker it seems to get. And for being one of the most populated national parks, it seems very dead. It's a little after 1 a.m., and while my husband continues to look for any sign of anything, I lean back and I start to doze off. While we slowly drive through these windy 2-lane forest roads, I feel the car slow to a stop, and the low music that we're listening to gets cut. I'm still leaning back, and I'm about to ask what's going on, but just as I started to speak, Ryan did too.
Amanda, look, do you see that?
I lean my seat up, and about 50 yards in front of us, partially lit by our headlights, is a figure standing on the side of the road, wearing all white. Shoulders square, head down, but facing the direction we're approaching. Ryan asks if I think it's a ghost, and I'm genuinely considering it a possibility. We haven't seen a town, a person, or even a car for hours. There's just no reason for a person to be out here, especially so close to the road. Ryan slowly releases his foot from the brakes, letting the van crawl forward, towards the figure standing on the side of the road. When our headlights cast a full light onto the entity, it's about 25 yards in front of us when Ryan leans pressure back on the brakes. It's a man, barefoot, wearing a white button-up shirt and flowy, taekwondo-esque looking pants. His stoicism is unbroken as we approached. We just stared at him, and he stared back at us. Clean cut, shaggy brown hair, mid-20s or 30s. He no longer resembled a ghost. The bottom cuffs of his pants were torn and dirty, and I thought that I could see a shadow behind him in the light. His hand wasn't outstretched as if he was hitchhiking, nor did he have any belongings with him. I don't know if he was even looking at us or just through us, like he was standing with his attention fixed, with or without a van shining its beams in his face, like his eyes, they didn't even squint when the light hit. Something felt so off. I remember saying my husband's name out loud in a tone that definitely conveyed concern. I know I wanted to speed up and get past this man. Without a word, Ryan hits the gas, and we zip past him. We both had goosebumps the remainder of that drive, and I was wide awake for the rest of it too. We drove for a while without stopping, but eventually we made ourselves turn into a campground, opting for a spot underneath what seemed to be the only streetlight in the entire place. If you're entering the park from the east, this was just before Tioga Pass, right before the east entrance of Yosemite.
And that's why we love the Swamp Dwellers channel around here, because he spooks us out each and every night right here to kick off hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio each and every night. So thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another great story. You can go to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads, to get more information, more stories, all for free. From the swamp to the stars, it is time once again where we bring in little Timmy Senor, our resident Timbit, for the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
Little Timmy Senor, it's always great to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. And the wild week continues with strange news. Is it Chinese? Is it UFOs? Is it aliens? Is it spy balloons? And I don't know where we're going tonight, man. I really don't. Are you having fun yet? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the ride. Honestly, like I said, anytime I see UFOs in the headlines, I'm happy.
Yeah, just need you to move a little bit closer to your microphone there. You're really, really quiet.
Okay, how's that? Is that any
That's
better?
much better. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, anytime there's UFOs in the headlines, you see me smiling. That is for sure, brother.
You know, there's a lot of people getting sick of this story. But you know what? I got to admit, and I was telling random guy this earlier on the phone, I'm having fun with this right now. We are literally, through social media, the news, and everything, watching real live propaganda played out by the military and the U.S. government. We're watching this.
Yeah.
Okay. And yes, people are taking it verbatim. Okay. And it's just amazing how many people, not just in the UFO community, really do believe there's aliens coming down and that we are at the start of an invasion, and Project Bluebeam is here, and everything to do with extraterrestrials. I mean, there are people really right now, shopping at 24-hour gun stores, buying ammunition and weapons because them aliens, they're on their way.
Well, that's the American way, bud. Come on. We like to be prepared. So, get the ammunition, get all the dry goods you can, and hunker down, because who knows what those balloons are going to be raining next. But I mean, it's interesting that it is still in the headlines, and that we're seeing senators and Congress people talking on it and giving their opinions. And Mark Rubio has been out talking about it. Senator Kennedy has been out talking about it. And we're getting some pretty interesting opinions coming forward, and we're going to talk about that tonight, because there's still a jury out exactly on what these last three objects exactly were. And it's sounding like we may not even recover the one in the Yukon, right?
Oh, that one's going to be recovered. They know where it is.
But this is the story that it's hard. And so, recently there was a statement, and so I've got that update for us at some point here. But yeah, they are definitely trying to pass the buck. There's nobody coming out with responsibility or answers, and they're still calling them objects.
Yeah. You know what I noticed through a lot of this entire thing over the last week? How much more the term UFO was used by government officials and politicians alike, and not the dreaded UAP that you love so much. I loved that. It was old school, man. Total old school.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Literally, I mean, that's what I was saying. Seeing a UFO in the headlines is fantastic. In fact, one of the headlines had Bigfoot and UFOs in it, and it was a serious article. And I was like, all right. But I think that you're bringing up a great point, that UAP and UFO are two different things. And the media is even treating them as two different things. And I believe that if they really want to get people's attention, they're using the word UFO.
Yes, absolutely. UFO. Absolutely. And you know what? I will stick to my guns. Like I said at the beginning of the year, when I said I am trying to ban the term UAP on this show. And I know it's not going to win, but at least for me and my audience, I want them to use UFO. Because the minute you use that UAP acronym, in my opinion, maybe people are not going to agree with me, but in my opinion, the term UAP means you bought into the government narrative on this subject. And the government narrative is not taking us down a road that we want to see. Not at all. And I love the fact that we're starting to see more UFO talk, because that's exactly what it is. They're UFOs.
Yeah. And in fact, if you don't mind jumping right into my first headline of the night, I think that it's a pretty big one. Do you want to hit it?
Yeah, let's go right to it right off the bat, because apparently on Google Maps, they now have an alien tracker. What's going on here? And Bigfoot.
Yeah. And that's the headline, that literally Google Maps now has an alien tracker that lets you see if UFO or Bigfoot is sighted near your home. And so the good news for alien and Bigfoot hunters everywhere is that there's a new feature in Google Maps, and it has been launched. It's going to allow you to keep track of all the sightings in your neighborhood. So the crowdsourced map reveals UFO and Bigfoot sightings near you, and there are more than you might think. The map is not only open to the public submissions, but it also reveals supernatural hotspots. So dozens of sightings overlap in, say, Harlan, Kentucky, making that state a hotspot, and especially in Harlan. And so, dubbed Bigfoot, UFO, and more sightings, the research is a Google map that currently comprises 361 sightings dating back to the 1940s. The map is an assemblage of recent public submissions and historical records. The national map is crowdsourced, meaning anyone can contribute. It was started by Thomas Markham of Bell County, Kentucky in 2014 and has over 1.3 million views so far, with the last entry made less than 2 weeks ago. So it's estimated that 2/3 of Americans believe in extraterrestrial life now, and in a week, there were 3 unidentified objects that have been shot down by the U.S. government. The public has been on red alert for possible supernatural sightings. So is ET finally coming home? Or perhaps we have sci-fi fanatics being let loose with a spreadsheet of some sort. But either way, the US government has dismissed rumors that the recent takedowns could be life from another planet.
Are they doing anything else like hauntings or other sorts of monster sightings?
It does look like they have 3 or 4 subcategories there that I can see. Definitely question mark is one. It looks like hauntings and Bigfoot and UFO.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And you know what? I could see people having a lot of fun. And this kind of ties in to what we were talking about with Merle and Jake about paranormal tourism. Like this, you look at this map and you can say, wow, like between July and August, there was 17 Sasquatch sightings in Spokane, Washington. Or, in Winnipeg, Manitoba, there were 38 UFO sightings between September and October. You can literally plan your holidays if you're into the weirdness and the Fortean life. You can plan your holidays around a map like this.
I think it's so cool. And it's great that Google's getting involved because it's going to put it in the hands of millions. So I love this and I'm totally going to be using it. I have, in fact, in the past, been to one of these places that is a ghost tour. I went to the Undercity of Seattle. And I can tell you, I wouldn't have wanted to do that without a tour guide because I can't imagine being lost in the catacombs below Seattle all by myself or with friends even. That would be just a nightmare. It's so dark and spooky down there. So I respect all these teams that have the guts to go to these haunted locations. That's some other level stuff, to have the fortitude to be able to do that and isolate yourself in scary places. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. And you know what? I think we're going to start seeing more of this here very, very soon. I really do.
Paratourism, is that what it's called?
Paratourism, or whatever you want to call it. As people are searching for different things to do in life, why not? Why not? And you know what? Of course, because it's Google, it'll probably have government ties to everything that goes on. But I would like to see how you create a report. How do you mark it down? Is it like geocaching where you just punch in your coordinates and your explanation and then hit send? Or is it something like a MUFON application where you have to file a report in order to get it in there? Because the issue that you're going to have with something like this is fake reports. That's the problem that you're going to have. So the question is, who is actually monitoring this to make the reports at least somewhat real? I hate to be a Debbie Downer on something like this because I would absolutely love to see it. But who's monitoring it to confirm whether or not the reports are real? I mean, there's nothing saying that a bunch of internet trolls or Mick Wests out there don't jump on there and do a social experiment, by putting, say, 42 Sasquatch sightings in the middle of Kentucky.
Don't give him ideas.
Well, I understand that. but you see what I'm saying, though?
I do.
Unless you have somebody verifying or you've teamed up with MUFON or BFRO, that's where I could see a little bit of issue.
Yeah.
By the way, I have a story for you.
Please, I would love one.
Do you remember a couple weeks ago we were talking about how MUFON's executive directors were all in Washington, D.C.?
I do remember that conversation, yes.
Yes, and they were hiring or joining a lobbyist group called A10 Associates.
Okay.
Well, it was announced on MUFON's website earlier this week, and I was tipped off about it today, that the board of directors of MUFON now includes a lady named Jessica Beeson Toko. Who is she? Well, Jessica, in her bio, is the CEO and founder of A10 Associates and has over a decade of unique experience working with local, state, federal, and international governments. Jess runs the firm's overall operations and involves herself in all divisions. She additionally leads the firm's federal practice group. Before launching A10 Associates, she worked under George W. Bush White House, and she previously served as the director of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam and director of Asia Pacific Council of American Chambers, helping U.S. companies across 25 different Asian cities shape policies and coordinate lobbying efforts to promote American exports. Since moving back to Massachusetts, Jess maintains strong relationships with the Massachusetts congressional delegation. She is also active with both the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee and the National Republican Congressional Committee. How do you feel about a lobbyist now joining MUFON's board of directors?
Professional lobbyist?
Professional lobbyist.
Well, they're professional, so no, I'm just kidding. Lots of follow-up questions, obviously. I guess the why. Why do you think this person has been brought on board?
I asked you the question first. You're not going to answer me with a question.
Well, this is new information to me, so I mean, I would need to know more before I can draw a conclusion. At this point, knowing what I know, it sounds like they're preparing to partner up in some way, and this is a liaison of some sort.
I look at it this way, is to me, if I'm a MUFON investigator or a state director, I would have some serious questions about the direction of where MUFON is going. Okay, there are those out there who will say MUFON has always been tied to the government, either secretly or publicly, so it's not that big of a deal. And there are going to be others who say, hey, I didn't get into MUFON to team up with the government. I came to find answers because the government isn't giving us the answers. So I'm very curious to see how I'm going to toe the middle line here on this one, but I'm very curious to see how this is going to play out, because I do know that there are some very big name state directors that are watching this process being played out very, very closely. And I do know that they are very concerned about the direction that MUFON is going under its current leadership. And they want some answers as to why MUFON is now really pushing the gamut on getting into Washington, D.C., and what is the purpose of all of that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. I don't know how it's going to play out. I got friends on both sides of that argument. And, you know, when you're in a position like I am, you meet a lot of people and you talk to a lot of people. And I just want to see MUFON come out of this golden for once, because over the last number of years, every time they try a stunt like this, it ends up shooting them back in their own foot. So I hope this isn't the case.
Indeed. I'm 100% with you. I'm right down the middle on this. I need to know more. However, we'll see what happens.
Let's finish that thought when you come back. We'll get Tim's thoughts on MUFON having a lobbyist on their board of directors now. And the UFO report will also see us get into Space Force when we return on Spaced Out Radio's UFO report. Random Guy will be joining us at the top of the hour for a little overtime. Yeah.
Meaty stuff. Well, that's really interesting. And yeah, it sounds like they got what they were asking for in that letter.
Yeah.
I like your cup.
Thank you. Hey, Shock Filet, how are you, buddy? No, I'm not mad about it. To me, it's disappointing. And like I said, I have a lot of friends on MUFON. What does that say?
Doghouse. Anytime I hear MUFON, they're officially in the doghouse with me.
I just wish. Okay, and you know, like I know Tim, you and I have talked about this a lot, and Nicole Sakic and I have talked about this a lot, and I've talked to Linda Thompson and many others about this a lot, and MUFON, and I've talked to a couple of really close MUFON friends of mine who I'm going to leave their names out of this for right now, and they are really concerned about the ever-changing face of what MUFON is. Okay, let's remember that when MUFON started, they were a public watchdog to be the eyes and ears of what the government was hiding on this subject. And now it's like, well, if you can't beat them, join them. I really hope that there is not a mass exodus from MUFON because of this. I'm curious to see. I find it interesting that MUFON has not released a press release on this. That is something that they should have done.
Addition to the board of directors, absolutely.
You know, and from people who I've talked to who have been high up in MUFON, one of the things that I have readily stated to them is you don't need to team up with the government. What you need is something that you haven't had over your decades, and that is somebody who actually knows how the media works. Somebody who could give you proper media advice, write a proper press release to get your name in there, to get your names involved in the conversation. And we've never seen that of MUFON, ever. And, you know, I'm not upset about it. It's the way they've always done things. But you know what? That antiquated thinking has cost them a lot of press, a lot of their reputation. Not dealing with things has cost them that. And that's on the, that. And once again, I want to stress for our audience who is listening here, there is a massive, massive difference between MUFON and its executive directors and board of directors and the people who are absolutely wonderful, who do the grunt work, the state directors, the boots on the ground people. They are doing great work, fantastic work in trying to shed light on this subject. Okay, they are working their tails off. And their board of directors seems to just wash it all the way, like a 5-finger death punch song. I don't get it. I don't understand that split. Because if I was the head of MUFON, the last 5-6 years would be completely different. Completely different. I would be making sure that me as executive director, I would know the exact names of every state director I have. And once a week or once every 2 weeks, I'd be having a 30-minute conversation with them. Same as my board. Same as everything. You need to. But there is such a, excuse me, what's the word I'm looking for? A disassociation from the board to its actual members who are doing that work. If I was an investigator right now for MUFON, I don't know if I could continue. But that's me. You know, no shame on MUFON, because there's going to be people out there who agree with what they're doing. Right?
Like me.
You agree with what they're doing?
Well, in a large part, I do.
Save that. Save that.
All right.
We'll make some great radio here in a seconds.
Yeah. I mean, you and I have always seen a little bit different aspects of MUFON.
3
Oh, there we
seconds.
go.
Hold on, buddy.
Cheers.
We're out of third. We're headed for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Let's continue on with the UFO report. Tim Senor is here. We're talking about the UFO group MUFON, which has been around for almost 55 years, adding a Washington, D.C. lobbyist to their board of directors. Now, Tim, you kind of like this move. Tell me why you like it.
Well, I mean, I would need to know the exact position, what it's going to entail with this new board director member, Jessica Toko. But what it seems like we're looking at is the potential liaison or partnership coming, with helping to put some of the cases that MUFON have in front of people in the DOD, people in the Pentagon, people that are working in our government that are interested in it. It doesn't feel like this is information we are trying to keep out of anyone's hands. If anything, MUFON's information has been so carefully and meticulously put together by the amazing people that are doing the boots on the ground work that you're talking about, and then covered by the directors and refined by the directors, hand talked to by each person. I spoke to my director before they made sure that my case was a real case. They do their work. And then let's say the government's like, hey, we're looking for somebody to collaborate with because we're trying to get some truth on this subject. And we've got Enigma here and we've got MUFON here. Well, I'm going to pick MUFON because it's got a history. It is transparent with the people that are involved, at least on the level that I'm interested in. Okay, because you're interested on a level of the directors, and that's a different story, and we can get into that. But my personal experience with them is so phenomenal that I would support the entire organization based on the good that I know they're doing on the boots on the ground level still. And until they falter on that, well, they're not going to change my mind. I'm still seeing the good of that company. Now, if they decide that they want to share that in some way to help in any way, shape, or form govern this topic, well, then I support that too, because they hold what I believe are highly refined, true stories, or at least from people that they have made sure believe their stories. And a lot of them come with data. So I 100% support something that gets that truth to the people that need to know, whether it's government or, into legislation or wherever it needs to go at this point, as long as it doesn't get, blended into, used against us. But like what I'm saying is that I support that. Yes.
Okay. And I think you make a brilliant argument. I really do. And I could see where getting civilians into the conversation and not just military members is a good thing, because too many times we see politicians, especially in the US, get a little bit too absorbed by what the military and military members say. Okay. And I agree with you on that. I think that's a fantastic point. My concern is this: do the civilian reports, okay, do they get into military hands? Or are they kept segregated from military reports? Also, my other concern with it would be this: does the public who is currently given reports to MUFON without, because let's face it, 95% of people do not read the fine print. Okay. Do they know that they have given their reports to MUFON without knowing that that report is going to get into the government hands? Because there are a lot of people who have experienced this phenomena who do not trust the government, no matter what level it is, municipal, civic, city, provincial, or state. Pardon me, I'm not an expert on American politics. Okay, but do they know that? And you know what? The excuse that MUFON can use is, well, it was right there in the fine print. Nobody
Right.
reads the fine print.
Right.
95% of people who buy a car do not read their contract.
Right.
Okay? They don't read the contract. 5% of people do. So that is my concern with this. What safety measures is MUFON taking to protect the people in their reports? Because if I'm an investigator and I'm now having to explain to Tim Senor, by the way, there is a good chance this report will be reviewed by Arrow or whatever team in Washington, D.C., or government spooks in Washington, D.C., I personally may have an issue with that. You may not, but there are going to be others who have, Tim.
Right. Right. And you're talking about two totally different people, the people that do report and the people that don't. The people that do report kind of assume it's public. If there's anyone interested, government or other, have at it. Because honestly, I can't believe what I saw. They're still blown away. And like, the public isn't usually as savvy as you and I. And so they're looking for somewhere to put this bizarre experience out in the public eye. And they're looking for something legit. And so they do a search, they find Norfolk, and they find MUFON, and they report to both. And that's the right thing to do, right? Because if you want to report, those are the two most credible places to do so. And by doing that, you realize anytime there's an acronym in the name, it's probably going to get, reported to the government if they're interested, right? And we know that there are rating systems that take place. And within those rating systems, something's going to get viewed or not viewed. And probably the people that make those reports, they report it because they want the world to know. And they're like, this was massive. And if it's a big enough case and it's real and it's been, vetted, then our government should probably know about it. And so we need to release some of this stuff and stop worrying so much about who is Big Brother and why does he care? Well, he's looking for answers. Why are we so hung up on giving them to him? That's my position. If I have a case and I want to report it, who cares who sees it? I want the world to see it, and that includes the government. I don't even care if it's on the other side of the planet and their government sees it. I want the world to know because it's a world topic. That's me, and I'm somebody that has reported the things that I've seen. But that's not everyone's position. I do feel potentially it's the public's position because that was kind of my family's position, and they're all different people. That was 9 people that all decided to do that. So, we all are from a different place in our worlds, and they're all like, let's just all file this one report.
Okay. And I agree with you. I think the majority of the population is exactly like you and your family. But you have also, since then, done a lot of growth in this field and in learning about the cover-up that is going on regarding this subject. And the fact that the government is not being truthful when it comes to what they know about this subject. We're watching, you and I have had many a private talk with random guy lately, and we are watching a propaganda movement being played hard and strong right now over 3 drones, not balloons, like we're being told, drones. And that's what scares me for the public, because I don't consider myself an insider, but I consider myself someone who knows more than probably a lot of the population regarding this. Now, I'm not a voice, I'm just giving my opinion. I'm not a voice of authority. But my question is, why feel comfortable with that, knowing what you know, that the government is covering it up, that it's not disclosure, it's a confirmation. And Tim, recently you've even said to me that you're struggling with the whole nuts and bolts aspect of it because of things that are starting to happen that are opening your eyes.
Right.
So I mean, I'm not denying what you said. I'm not trying to shove everything back in your face, because like I said, I believe 90%, 95% of the people out there are going to be just like your family. Hey, let's Google, who do I report this to? MUFON's name comes up, bang, let's put it in there. I get that. I appreciate that. The reports are important. But when a game is being played, does that not make you feel a little bit more conscious about who's reading your report?
Again, these things are more of a signal to me as to what the game really is and how to play it. What that tells me is, this gets me a little nervous, because it tells me that they don't know anything, is what it tells me. The fact that they're coming to me and my group looking for my data, the fact that they're looking to MUFON for answers, the fact that they're doing what they can to cover up things and call it one thing and then do these bizarre next 3 shoot downs and still calling it, that all tells me that they don't know a thing about what the real phenomenon is, or UFOs. Let's just call it that. They don't know a thing about UFOs. They're still very much in the dark. And the thing, when you bring up consciousness and abduction, that's just like, whoa, that's even bigger for them.
Brother, I hear you.
So I feel them reaching out to MUFON shows me that they really are kind of trying to figure this shit out.
I hear you.
Yeah. They don't know.
No,
and I'm sorry for swearing. Mark that.
I had to mark it.
I'm sorry. That's the first time I've ever sworn on your show. So there you go.
Don't worry. It'll be edited out for our radio stations.
Excellent.
But the key is this. We know that all you have to do, I mean, anybody from Arrow can get, and any government agent, all they have to do is sign up to be a MUFON member, and bang, they get access to it. We know that's happening. Okay. I guess in my personal belief, I would have loved to have seen MUFON just take an entirely different direction. I mean, look, the last month or two, we'd really been talking about some sort of watchdog out there to really, hammer home for the people what's happening to them. And no offense, but in typical MUFON fashion, I think they dropped the ball on that. I really do. So it's just tough for me when I see good people who've had experiences. Take myself out of the equation, but good people who have had extraordinary experiences that they've never asked for in their life. And they're trusting these people to do investigations on them. And then knowing that those reports are going to fall into the hands of government officials.
I mean, right? You can say that in a nefarious way, or you can say that in a positive way. You can say that in lots of ways. But my feeling is, officials, I think that's going to be okay. I'm not trying to
sell you. I'm not trying to sell you a 1976 El Camino here, man. Oh, look, it comes with a canopy too, and it's automatic, and it still takes leaded gas, but that's okay. We're going to change it over to regular, unleaded. Don't worry about it. We're taking care of it. I mean, you're right. The argument could go, many, many different directions. It really can. But let's move on. We got 6 minutes left. Talk to me about Space Force here.
I'd love to, because Space Force and Space Command passed the buck on UFOs as the U.S. airspace security questions swirl, right? And so the Pentagon's U.S. Space Force and U.S. Space Command have so far been absent from discussions on a handful of UFOs over North America that have been shot down by the military in the recent days. So these flying objects were shot down last weekend, including one over northern Alaska on Friday, one over Canada's Yukon Territory on Saturday, and one over Lake Huron on Sunday. A week prior, a Chinese spy balloon was shot down over the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of South Carolina. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, and the United States Northern Command, NORTHCOM, have been taking the lead on the information related to the UFOs, but details on how involved the space-focused military agencies have been on identifying the objects and securing U.S. airspace is not clear. And so, the Space Command, which is one of the 11 of the military's combatant commands, is in charge of command and control of the troops in space region. However, a spokesperson for the command said it is not taking a lead role on the UFOs as the objects operated outside the command's their area of responsibility. And so the U.S. command operates the most exquisite and extensive sensor network in the world, the agency told Fox News Digital in a statement on Tuesday. While nothing that NORAD, NORTHCOM, and the Pentagon are the focal point of the efforts to identify the UFOs. So while the UFOs are past U.S. Spacecom's area of responsibility, we continue to monitor these events and provide supporting data to Northern Command. So when asked to elaborate on what supporting data is, they just declined to reply. And so the command plans, executes, and integrates military space power into multi-domain global operations in order to deter aggression, defend national interests, and when necessary, defeat threats. And so that's the position that they took. It's not in their purview. And so they just conveniently had nothing to say. We do support data, but we have nothing to say on the specifics. So Space Force and Space Command passing the buck, Dave.
Are they really passing the buck, or are they worried about more other things? Okay, there's a lot of tension up there. And let's face it, their satellites have to be prepared for not aliens right now, but any other sort of defense mechanisms in case someone over there goes stupid and presses the red button. And that's what I believe. I'm willing to give Space Force and Space Command a real benefit of the doubt right now, because this is a tense time, a very tense time around the world. And now that we know that these Chinese drones are coming on in, and we don't know how many more there are, the military is not going to let us know.
That's right.
Who knows what's going on? So the fact that they're passing the buck to UFOs to Arrow, or it sounds like now they're going to make a new team because Arrow didn't have the power that it should have, according to lawmakers, because, this will be the 58th team in, the last 14 weeks. And I'm not even close to exaggerating on that. Maybe a little. But, Space Force has a lot to worry about right now. And I'm okay with that. If it means the safety of us here in North America, and they've got bigger jobs to worry about than UFOs, what else does that tell you, Tim? Guess what isn't a threat?
That's right. Any of this. But, Senator Kennedy says that it's time for Biden to speak out about the unknown flying objects. And he's saying that the cow is out of the barn. And I love that quote. And in that briefing, lawmakers are left with many questions surrounding the downing of these Chinese spy balloons and the additional unidentified flying objects. But I love how that he sewed up the end of this meeting with, "You better lock your doors tonight." And there's a lot of implications with that. And I'm wondering what Senator Kennedy has in the back of his mind?
Oh my goodness. I don't really know. I really don't know. And I don't want to really speculate on that because I think he's maybe hinting at UFOs and aliens, but I think he's hinting at something a lot more nefarious that is way east of us or closer west. It's just a scary time, my friend.
It
It
is.
is a scary, scary time. And in a way, all I'm saying is this: people, do your own homework. Don't fall for the propaganda that's going on. Remember, here's another one that I just thought of, and I just mentioned it to you a minute ago. If UFOs were a threat, Space Force would be all over it.
Great point. Great point. Words to sleep by.
All right. Tim, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we do have to say goodnight. A very, very awesome UFO report tonight, my friend. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in a couple nights' time. And we also want to say a big thank you tonight to our good friend Swamp Dweller for allowing us to share his spooky stories on this show to kick off hour 3 each and every night. And a big thank you to our buddy Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers and Jacob Rice, Washington State paranormal investigator and documentarian, talking about the paranormal all night long. It just seems so refreshing. So refreshing to take that UFO break to talk paranormal the last couple of nights. And I'm so thankful for it. I really, really am. All right. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Right beside Random Guy. He's starting to like the Woo. Good night. All right, let's unmute you guys. Random Guy, what's happening, man?
What's up, dude? I kind of feel like I'm getting sick.
Wow. Whose static is that? Tim, is that yours? And a little staticky there?
It's radioactive.
Tim's radioactive. Radioactive.
Could be me.
It is you.
I walk around with my shoes off everywhere I go. I guess I could turn this down. Is that better?
Oh, we'll see.
Tim's got quite a kit. I saw him earlier on another stream. He had like 16 Pelican cases of surveillance equipment.
Wow. The old surveillance equipment, just like that.
Yeah, RG was in there. Multiple accounts, I think, probably throwing me props. Thanks for that.
Hey, I tried to motivate the algorithm for you.
I appreciate all the help I can get. No, but honestly, that was my first time doing a demo, and it was fun. I only showed like a quarter of my gear too, to be honest.
That was cool. Those guys were not ready for what you were bringing out.
I don't think they were, but it was fun either way.
It was a good time.
Cool. Thanks, man. I was glad you were there. That was a surprise.
Yeah, it's amazing how great you are when Dave's not stepping on you the whole time.
What? Dave and I are in sync, buddy. We're like this. Dave is gonna say what I'm thinking right now.
Screw you, random guy. That's what I'm thinking.
Now you sound like you belong in chat.
Screw you, man. Yeah, right. You got some haters in there.
That just means you're doing something right.
Oh yeah. It's all good, guys. It's all in the name of fun.
That's right.
Seriously, I'm supposed to fly tomorrow. Now I feel like crap.
Where are you heading?
Florida for the Daytona.
Oh yeah.
I'm so jealous. Can we tell everyone what you're doing?
If that keeps getting worse, then it's not going to happen. If I feel worse than this in the morning.
Oh man. Echinacea tea.
Yeah, I'm taking all of it right now. It just sucks.
Advil, cold and sinus. Vicks vapor rub at the bottom of your feet.
Chemistry.
I don't think driving a race car around Daytona at 200 miles an hour is a very good idea if you have like COVID, though.
Dude, I can't believe you're getting to race in NASCAR. You're gonna be a driver, dude.
Well,
blew my mind when I heard that.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I hope you're well enough.
Anyways, what's the I listened to you guys go back and forth about MUFON. What's the topic of After Hours?
Topic du jour.
I thought we were going to get into a little bit of the lock your doors, because for a lot of people in the UFO world, they believe that that Mr. Kennedy there, is his name John? Is that his name?
Senator.
Anyways, whoever the Kennedy senator is or congressman.
Just pick like a super white name.
Yeah, no, it is Senator John Kennedy.
I'm joking.
Totally, John, John Kennedy.
Christine, yes, it does work. Saying people need to lock their doors, almost like aliens are going to come knocking on your door, like I don't know, the Mormons or something. Trying to convert you to alienism.
I don't think that's what he was referring to.
He threw it in at the very end of the press conference, though.
Yeah, I remember.
So, what do you think the inference was?
Well, did you watch everybody else? Did you watch the other senators, Rubio and everybody else, their takes?
Yeah.
Their takes were more of frustration and less of fear and being somber.
Right.
I think kind of like when I was talking to you guys earlier about non-UFO related tactical stuff, I tend to believe they're concerned that this is all prelude to something else, not UFO meaning intentional subversion, unrest, disturbances being caused in the homeland type stuff related to other events that are also in the news, but people haven't put together yet. That's so my opinion is it's more related to that.
And I agree with you.
It's frustration out of that because they're just now, I think they're behind the 8 ball, at least in briefing the politicians, they're behind the 8 ball right now. And that's the frustration that you're seeing, not necessarily that there's an imminent threat from the sky so much.
Right. Dave, did you want to talk about the expanded story there?
What's that?
Did you want to talk about the expanded story that relates to all of that, or is it kind of off topic?
Well, you can go into that if you want. If a random guy wants to move on, we can move on, because I have other questions.
Oh, okay, you go, man. You go.
Yeah, chat comes first. Don't worry about me.
All right. Random guy. This is Dave speaking. Okay. random guy, just curious. A lot of these, we're you know we're we're seeing a real, at least first time in my life that I've noticed it, that we're seeing a real propaganda game being played here in the military. From the wordage of aliens and UFOs to balloons, even though like take the one in the Yukon, the Canadian Minister of Defense came out and said that it was not a balloon whatsoever. It was some sort of metallic object, okay, that was shaped like a cylindrical object. So we're seeing a lot of playing, if we could use that term, or usage of the media in different press conferences, not sounding quite the same from person to person. Is Do you agree that we are seeing a real operation towards media propaganda on this going on?
I don't know if it's so much propaganda being intended to deceive the public as much as it's a game that they're playing with our adversaries to not give away or tip the hand to what we're actually capable of. They don't want to say how fast we find things, that they want to appear disorganized. They want to appear as though they'll never recover the wreckage because, just these types of, those are the kind of games going on. I don't feel that it's like a Project Blue meme, whatever. I don't feel like it's meant to deceive us as a society. I think they're doing that to keep sources and methods in place without tipping off our adversaries to our true capabilities.
Right. The only thing close to this, I would say, propaganda wise, would have been, a place where you served over in Iraq, where there was no weapons of mass destruction.
Allegedly. I have a story about that sometime when we're drinking too, but go ahead.
But I mean, this is where the public is trying to figure out what's going on, and what is the narrative, what is the push towards all of this. So I guess that's, in my sense, in looking at it, I never really paid attention to anything in the past. I was more worried about hockey scores and football games than and that's the truth of it, than I was about what was going on in the world. Now that I'm involved in this field, it's pushed me in a different direction into actually seeing what's being played out.
Well, like I said, I kind of alluded to this prior. I don't think they know what they want us to believe yet. I feel like, and I tweeted this, I've mentioned this, I feel like at some point in the next week or so, either Biden or Kamala or whoever that they think is going to have the greatest theatrical impact is going to come out and make it, once they're sure they've got this tack down, they've recovered it all, they've done what other, things that are going on the down low. Once they've handled all that, things are moved where they need them to, assets are where they are, they know exactly what's what, they have a plan of action. You're going to see somebody come out and try to dunk with this, and that's your official cue that it's over with. And they'll probably make it blaming, left versus right, and we'll go back to our normal ways of hating ourselves, because that's the only way that politics seem to work anymore. That's my honest opinion on this, and I think it'll just go away, and nothing will come out that will benefit the UFO community. Nothing will come out. The intelligent community already has what they need. They're already moving behind the scenes, I assure you of that. But as far as we're concerned, as regular people, we're just waiting for somebody to come out and dunk on a primetime news conference. That's my honest opinion.
Apparently, Biden may make a statement tomorrow. That came out. I read that right before the show. Whether or not that happens or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not trying to flex here, but been pretty much right the whole way so far. But it would not surprise me for any of that to happen.
Nicole is saying Gillibrand brought up China, Russia, and Iran earlier tonight and the need for protocols for objects between space and commercial airspace. What do you think about that?
Interesting that they mentioned Iran, right? If you remember our conversation a few days ago. Yeah, I agree with that. That just goes to show that we're on the right path here. The fact that we're discussing these things 2 to 3 days before you're seeing it in the news. That's something that needs to happen for sure. But more importantly, there needs to be a detriment or a way to discourage those activities from bad actors.
Tibby?
Oh yeah, no, I'm enjoying listening on this one. No, I mean, we have talked about a lot of stuff in the past couple of days. You're absolutely right. I'd also like to consider the fact that, I mean, there was a massive meteorite in Texas also. Like, we can't get away from things coming into our airspace.
Yeah, that was a crazy one.
There's no breaks. We're not getting any breaks at all. And it's incredible.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of bias right now, right? Because we're screening for these things. Media companies, they want to sell clicks, and they know this is a hot topic, so they're gonna find anything trending from the sky right now to throw in front of your face because they know you'll click on it. So don't forget about that also.
And here I'm just pissed off that I've missed 2 nights in a row of Northern Lights.
Be glad you're not in Texas.
Mm.
Get some Northern Lights that might blow your mind. But I saw a question here in our chat a little earlier because I actually had chat up. And someone was asking if you had any thoughts on electrogravitics.
No, it's funny because the first time I had really heard about that was in the chat like a month ago, and I looked it up a little bit. It's interesting stuff, but I'm by no means qualified to speak on it. I just vaguely understand it as the Google foo brought me there, but I have no comments on it other than I can see the potential, plausible. I don't know of anything otherwise.
Recently in discussion, there's been something called the Gorgon stare. Are you familiar with that?
Nope.
Okay. That's 2 for 2. Let's see if I can get one more by you. Well, the Gorgon stare is supposedly...
It's like the Care Bear stare?
No. Should I even tell? I mean, I don't even know. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. So I was wondering, hopefully, if you could clarify. It was supposedly some sort of Pentagon research using balloons at 60,000 feet or so with iPhone technology, like 50 iPhones pointed down, basically. And along with that was like data retrieval and all this other stuff. And it was supposedly a tethered balloon lingering over a test city. And
sounds unnecessary,
right?
Based on other technology that we have. Do you say what's a Care Bear stare, dude? You don't remember the Care Bears from the 80s?
That wasn't my mix, man. I didn't watch that, but I get it. I'll bet there was one. Yeah, go for it.
I think there's some confusion here, so I'll just say it again. I learned more here in this chat than I ever learned in my whole life about working or reading around cool stuff. So you guys teach me, especially when it comes to these project names and stuff. I'm like, wow, that's cool. I'm going to look at, like, when I get off this chat, sometimes I just go Google stuff that I heard. So I appreciate that. I don't know a lot of this stuff. It's cool. Yeah, Bomber knows what it is.
Yeah, he does. Here's a question for you from Tony, if you can see it. Random guy, what do you think these anonymous objects they shot down are, apart from balloons? Let's just go for the last 3 because those are just being called objects. You got any theories on the octagonal or the...
I heard the word drone was used from one of my people. They're either drones or some kind of modified airship that's a combination of balloon with maneuvering propulsion system, possibly layered, stuff like that. Sounds like they got semi-rigid balloons. They shaped them in different ways, either to defeat radar or to mess with people. I don't know. Couldn't tell you, but that's what it sounds like. That's not confirmed, but that's best guess.
Right. And did you want to give any theories on, well, I guess you kind of did right there. Yeah.
I call everybody dude, by the way, Chris, even women. I'm from the beach, so I call everybody dude and bro.
Right. And so what do you think was the true motivation for taking down the other three? Was it curiosity? Was it because they needed to, like, I won't even force feed it. What do you think? Why did they take down the other three after we knew one was a Chinese balloon? Why did we take down these other unidentified?
Well, I just found out today. I mean, it makes sense, but I found out today for sure that we actually tracked the first one from the minute it was launched from China.
The one that's a verified Chinese balloon.
The one that we splashed in North Carolina.
Yeah.
We tracked that across the ocean. That's how crazy, that's how close we're watching China. So if we know that, it's kind of absurd to think that these other objects were untracked, right? Like, I mean, let's be realistic here. So I believe, as I said a couple shows ago, that this was basically when the fallout came politically from the first one of why aren't you guys doing anything? They said, all right, F this, just kill it all. Like, I really feel like that's what happened. And they adjusted the sensors and said, anything you see, take it out. That's my best guess. That's not my opinion, but it just makes sense. But it seems like a politically expedient thing because these things have been going on for a long time. I don't buy the story that all of this stuff was completely undetected and then all of a sudden we changed the squelch on our radar signatures with NORAD and now we see them. Whatever. I mean, maybe. Doesn't sound realistic to me. Sounds politically expedient.
Yeah. There's so much hearsay, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think potentially those F-18s would have a hard time locking on? And now it's sounding like, their first shot over Lake Huron, missed, right? And that's kind of been confirmed. So why are they having such a hard time locking on and taking these things down if they're not, if they're just a balloon or a drone or whatever?
Well, I heard a rumor, so this is not gospel. Obviously, that's how rumors work. I hear rumors just like you do. I heard a rumor that they actually deployed chaff, which, if you guys don't know, that's metallic countermeasure that an aircraft shoots to divert a missile that's been locked onto them in combat. So, dogfight. Most of you guys are familiar with flares, the little flares that fly out and they're heat-seeking, right? They have something called chaff. It's a metallic material that comes out of the aircraft, and that works better for radar honing type missiles to defeat the missile, so the missile will aim for the cloud of metal. So I heard a rumor, potentially, that chaff was deployed because they could not get a solid lock, so that they basically dumped the chaff near the object so that the missile would go in the right direction. I don't know how true that is, but that would explain a miss, depending on the size of the object and stuff like that. Again, I think, and as far as the F-18 stuff goes, if it's older stuff, it makes sense because they're using the missiles that I understand have been successful are the AIM-9X. The cool thing about the X is you can kind of customize the warhead on it. So you can literally shoot it so it doesn't blow up at all, so it doesn't actually explode or detonate. You can make it a little boom, a big boom, kind of however you want. And that's the beauty of that. And when you have something advanced like the F-22, you can find something with a much smaller cross-section for it to lock onto than what typically in the past a regular AIM-9 was what they called the Sidewinder, which is basically a heat-seeking missile. I've seen a lot of people bring that up, but with AIM-9X, there's a little bit different rules with it.
Have you ever heard before or experienced someone attempting to lock on and take down a drone?
in my whole life.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, in the experience that you've heard of, was it hard or easy to take down a drone?
I haven't talked to these guys in this instance. I know from past experiences this has not been a big deal from other engagements in other countries and other incidents.
And so some of these things didn't have a heat signature. Is that also correct?
I don't know. I'm speculating. I was just trying to give insight as to why the missile may have missed, if the one that missed, because they don't have, depending on how it was set up. I'm not an armament guy. I'm just letting you know kind of possibilities here. I didn't talk to anybody involved. I'm not involved with this. I'm sitting on my couch like you. I'm just speculating and looking at what sounds reasonable to me why that could possibly occur.
Okay.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm not being clear. I'm trying. Like,
I know, I'm getting you. Feel free to add anything else in if it comes to mind too.
Well, can I ask you this? Can an F-35 fire the same type of missiles as an F-22?
For the most part, yeah. The F-35. So the reason we have F-35s is it was meant to be a joint strike force fighter, something that basically we could share with NATO. F-22 was originally designed to be like our crown jewel. We're not sharing it with everybody. It's the pinnacle of aviation, so to speak. This was the concept of it. The F-35 was meant to have similar characteristics, be much more affordable so that we could build more units and we could share them with our allies. That was the purpose, but still have much of the same capabilities. They have a lot more advanced, some of the heads-up systems, like their helmets and stuff, have some really cool stuff in it. You guys can Google. But strategically, they can carry a lot of the same armament. I would still give the edge to the F-22. But yeah, the F-35 is a newer fighter. It could do a lot of cool stuff.
Very cool. Are you disappointed, random guy, that this isn't about UFOs?
No. I because the same reason I'm here is I'm here to cut out the BS from UFOs. I just want to, because I'm interested in UFOs, but not the BS that goes with it.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering why there's so much of this being covered by senators and all of this right now, whereas like some of the other pretty big storylines are kind of not. Do you feel like maybe UFOs are kind of a distraction right now, and balloons and Chinese balloons and all that? Is this a distraction even from something else that's happening, perhaps on the East Coast or whatever? Do you have any thoughts on that even? Like, I hate saying that because I love UFOs and I'm glad it's in the headlines, but at the same rate, there's a lot of other things that are concerning. And do you feel like this is part of a distraction?
Well, if it is, I mean, there's always the potential that kind of what I was talking about. If you want to go down the rabbit hole of potential conspiracy theory type stuff, it could be coordinated efforts that goes along with other things like taking the grid out, derailing trains, shutting off mobile services, testing potential. Basically, if you make enough chaos in one spot, you can distract an entire country type stuff. So depending on what you subscribe to, I guess it's possible, but nothing for certain yet. I don't think anybody's intentionally deceiving. Like I said, I feel like the majority of the political leaders just aren't informed, and that's intentional.
Yeah.
Let's get to a question for you, random guy from Third Phase of Moon. How you doing, cousins, brothers? Hope you're doing well. Random guy, do you think they will ever show us the debris from the objects? And if they do, will you believe what they show the public?
Good question.
It depends on whether they admit they recovered or not. Right? I just think, I don't know. I say it's 50-50. 50-50. And depending on who it belonged to. If it was somebody, and we've already addressed it, then it's more likely they'll show it. If it's something that they're trying to, if it's some kind of cool technology that we're trying to figure out, and I'm not talking UFO, I mean just like Like if Iran had some new stealth drone or something, they're not going to tell us about it. They're going to reverse engineer it and say they never got it, right? That makes sense.
Okay, well, there's a lot of people talking in the chat room about distraction, that this is all a ruse, that it could be, there's a lot of people who believe it could be alien. There's a lot of people out there who believe that it is some sort of cover up going on, that we're blaming the Chinese government or other governments of the world for. And the real secret is the fact that it is something that we've never seen before. How is the public supposed to know what truly is going on?
You're not. that's the whole reason we have the most expensive defense budget in the world times 100. They're doing their job by not explaining it to you, and a lot of it is probably better if the average person knew the amount of threats on a daily basis. You guys would never sleep ever. Like threats against Disneyland, threats against whatever, you know what I mean? Like just popular places in the world where there's quote unquote a threat, and they go and they mitigate those things amazingly because almost nothing ever happens, right? Thank God, knock on wood. So they're very, very good at their job by not discussing these things with the public. So at some point you just have to have, I know I've said this before, but it's like you just kind of have to have faith. I have zero faith they'll tell us the truth about UFOs. So I'm comfortable saying that. But as far as matters of national security, you got to let the pros do what they do and just pray to God that you have somebody in charge that's making the right calls. But so far, it's mostly worked out for us.
Right, but they're not really fighting hard against the UFO narrative here. And I'm just like waiting for that false flag where they're like, alien invasion. Like it's happening, and it would be just that simple.
Yeah.
And that is just absolutely ridiculous. And the fact
problem
is go ahead.
The problem with that, Tim, is this. Government employees are just regular people. They're just like you, right? They collect a paycheck, they do a job. Most of them are very patriotic. Most of them care about people for the most part. There's bad apples everywhere, every organization. But there's regular people. There's no way, none, that you could coordinate something like Project Bluebeam, let's say. There's a 0% chance that would ever happen without somebody leaking it, without it being exposed. Because people have consciences, right? I don't care if you're a Navy SEAL. If you're a Navy SEAL and you have all these secret information, all these secret missions and people you killed and bad guys, you keep that quiet. But if you knew something was going to ruin the world for your kids and it was just inherently evil and bad, I don't think a lot of those guys would keep it quiet. Like there's a duty to your country, and safety is one thing, but a duty to supporting an unlawful order or a duty supporting treason or a duty supporting stuff, that's not going to happen. You're going to have people talk about it.
All right, let's get to a question from DAY Song here. Do you think even this may not be actual UFOs, but that this could very well be extraterrestrial technology given to us by the ETs?
I mean, sure, but in this case, we've had how many people come out from two different governments who have been briefed, say they're not UAPs, they're not UFOs. Some say they're balloons, some have said drones, like whatever vernacular term you want to use. But they've all been quite clear they're not worried about it being aliens. So, well, it's possible, sure. That's unlikely. What's more likely is if there's reverse engineering going on, it's in the orbs and the Tic Tacs and the stuff like that. It's not going to be in balloons over Wisconsin. That's just, I mean, it's possible, but that's not where my money's at.
All right, let's see. If you have any questions for Random Guy, do me a favor, put them in capital letters. They're way easier for me to pick out.
RG, why do you think the White House was so implicit, repeating the fact that they are saying that it's not aliens, repeating it 3 times to an audience of chuckles? Why do you think that happened? And why do you think they made that statement the way they did?
Pretty sure I told you that was going to happen also.
Right.
Because They want the soundbite. Simple as that. Simple as that. And on a lesser degree, for the people that are super out there, they're like, okay, guys, everybody's joking about it right now, but like, really, that's not what it is. So chill. like, I think it was mostly to get attention and divert attention from something else that they were talking about, because now everybody left that press conference couldn't tell you a single thing except for they said it wasn't aliens. You know what I mean? They do stuff like that intentionally. I don't think that I heard that was going to happen before it happened, and then it happened. So that told me all I needed to know. So if you hear something's going to happen, or you have a theory something's going to happen and continually keeps happening, then you're probably on the right track. I'll just say this about that. Like, as a whole, as a society, chat, community, whatever, all the power is with us. Like, if people just stop being fearful, and I mean, keep your mind open to things, right? But like, if we literally just be nice to each other and share ideas and kind of keep an open mind and don't assume it's aliens and don't assume, I mean, you don't rule stuff out completely, but I think like people need to dial down the anxiety level right now, like as a group. And if we look at things logically, we got some other bigger problems going on right now that we should probably be focusing on. I mean, not for show purposes. This is show talking about UFOs. I get that. But I'm just saying, like, generally in your day-to-day lives, when you're not enjoying a broadcast like this, dial down the anxiety. It's going to be okay. I really believe that.
Yeah, good advice. Yeah. I'm liking the way this is going. Dave's looking intense.
He has an editing face on.
He does.
I do have my editing face on. Apologize.
Nah, you're good, brother. Dang, I feel like crap.
I'm sorry, buddy. I can't wait to see you after you've driven NASCAR.
Oh my God. If that even happens now, geez. Gotta get better.
Yeah. The Kennedy statement was strange, though. The lock your doors. That was kind of an unexpected thing for Senator John Kennedy to say.
No, it was, and I almost wonder, I almost took it because he looked at one specific, I would love to know the relationship with, because he looked at the reporter specifically that he said that to. He didn't just make that as a briefing. So it's almost like, I feel like they either had a conversation or he was inferring something or had a relationship with that person to where he was just doing some kind of, I don't know, gentleman-y thing, or I don't know. It just didn't feel, it was definitely caught my attention when he said it, but I didn't take it as like the aliens are coming, because locking your doors ain't going to do no good, right?
Right.
We have nuclear war, locking your doors thing. So like the concept practically doesn't really add up based on the threats that we're faced with, to be literally, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
but what do you think about China's statement that this wasn't, that some of these weren't them, right? And that even they are saying that they have objects over their territories that they're taking down.
yeah, but you can't believe China, man. You got to understand, China is like one of those countries, even though they're an adversary, they're like super all about like honor, appearance, being strong. And so even when they're in the wrong, they want to look as though they're strong, and they're not wrong.
Well, that sounds very familiar. That's pretty much every country right there, bud.
True. No, that's true. But certain countries more so than others, right?
Okay.
Like we know if Canada goes and screws up, we can just like flick Trudeau in the ear and he'll bend over. Like, I said that for Dave's benefit.
There's a lot of Canadians here.
We could go to Europe and half the countries and be like, hey guys, knock it off. It'll be like, oh, we're sorry. Yeah. But some countries you can't do that to. And China's one of those. So they're going to really ratchet up the rhetoric.
Right.
And they want a way out. They want a way to de-escalate this. So if they say it's not them, right, or we're having the same problem, everybody goes, oh, you're having you know what I mean? It's kind of like you're having a lawn dispute with your neighbor, and they edged on your side of the property or something that pissed you off.
Do you think
And
it's
they're
a
like, yeah.
reaction though to our media and how we handled things, that they're now going to shoot down something over their country? Is it a reaction to us directly in their media?
I mean, that's always part of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting, I guess. And I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but I just
No, that's fine.
it makes me wonder on a different level, like, is this all just a media game, you know, or
Well,
is it like
appearances
much
are-
more serious, you know?
Appearances can be reality, right?
Right.
In some cases. Choke and gurgle on words. Okay. Thank you for that input.
Who was that? Did I say that?
No, I was reading the chat, what you tell me never to do, but it's funny.
Oh. When are you gonna stop reading chat?
No, I enjoy it though now. I used to get
Dave is
upset.
supposed to
Now I
put
think
up
it's
questions.
hilarious. No, it's funny.
You're great. No, you do you, man. Go ahead, read away. Get your feelings hurt. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
I'm just kidding.
Nicole, beating dead horses isn't fun. Correct.
Great point.
Well,
Nick.
I mean, all these guys, whether it's China or Russia or Iran, they're all playing the same game, right? It's what are we doing versus what are we acting like we're doing? How long has Iran been enriching, nuclear weapons and saying, oh, look at us, we're not doing anything? North Korea, same stuff. Games are being played, but we play them better than anybody, thankfully, so far.
So before I can see Dave getting ready to call it a night. Do you have a prediction? Look into my crystal ball head.
Random guy prediction.
And tell me what you see in the future for next week. Do you see more UFOs in the headlines?
I think it comes to an end within the next 7 to 10 days. Completely. I think it vanishes. I think we will get one announcement from a high-level leader announcing stability, probably placing blame on a previous administration if they can. And then it'll fall off the face of the planet. And we'll be back to talking about Bitcoin going back to 30 grand and all the other things we talk about and getting prepped for 500 different people to run for president next year. Interfighting, the usual. I think we have about a week left of this in circulation, and then it magically leaves our feeds.
And do you agree with DA here saying that this was a test run?
Yeah, but it's also that they're constantly doing that in different ways, right? So like I would be not disappointed, but I would be shocked to hear it wasn't. You know what I mean? If this was it's not an actual kinetic attack. So what are they doing out here, right? Of course it's a test. Everything is calculated, especially with China. And that's where, like, if all these objects are in fact Chinese, which I don't think all of them are, but if they were, the fact they're different size shapes makes perfect sense, because they're not going to get multiple attempts at this. They're not going to get away with this again. There's going to be held up. And I'm sure that's what is going on behind the scenes. They've either already communicated or drawing up a backline phone call to China, say, hey guys, we caught you. Here's your penalties. Knock it off. Happens again, this is XYZ what's going to happen. At least that's what a good leadership should do. I would hope that would happen.
Yep. And do you think that we in the UFO community are going to see a change in the programs that are now being placed? Like, is Arrow going to change again drastically? Are they going to reform fit the UFO search?
No, I don't think so much that, but I do see, I kind of talked to you about this earlier in text. What a perfect situation for a brand new organization to come about, right? Like let's say Enigma or Arrow or whoever, any organization that deals with this type stuff. What if all these Congress people, senators, whoever, they don't like the answers they're getting? What are they going to do at the next budget? They're going to be like, oh, we're going to give $1 billion to these UFO organizations to go. You know what I mean? That would not surprise me at all. I could see Matt, and maybe that's what MUFON and Enigma and all these companies that are out there, UAPX, whatever. There's a ton of them. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying maybe the reason they're all stepping into this limelight of getting marketing people on their teams and forging these alliances is in preparation for that funding that they intend to receive in the next fiscal year, hypothetically.
I'm so with you on that. It's not even funny. Yeah. And I feel like even some of this is staging to get budgetary allocations, believe it or not. I wouldn't doubt it. And the more balloons that are up there, the better. They're like, it's another $1 billion we can ask for.
Well, don't forget, we don't have a war machine to feed anymore. So there's got to be some way for people to, shed some money off of the budget. Got to cause a conflict somewhere and somehow. Without a threat, they can't fleece us. And that's just me being cynical. But I mean, if you go back through history, that's kind of true.
That's it. You nailed it right there. The threat means dollars, an allocation of dollars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Down to the money, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, I'm going to go make some tea, boys.
Awesome.
All right.
Get some rest, buddy.
Here. Anyways, thank you, Tim and Random Guy, for coming on for a little bit of time tonight. Thank you to our super chatters, Jake, Nancy, Deb, and Lala. We very much appreciate the love that you have given us. And tomorrow night on the show, John Yost joins us to talk about alien abductions, how personal they can get. Yeah, we're getting right back into some woo tomorrow. I need a woo fix. This whole drone stuff, Tim, is driving me nuts. I need a woo fix.
John is the best.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. And to the rest of you, don't forget, I will be at UFOCon 2023 in San Francisco, where John Yost, Science Bob, Melinda Leslie, Sev Talk, and many others will be breaking all the UFO stuff down. Excuse me, everyone. Excuse me.
A live yawn on camera.
Go get your tickets at UFOCon2023.com. And of course, for our Vegas fan party, May 19th through 21st, Random Guy is going to be there. Timmy Senor is going to be there. I'm going to be there. We want all of you there with our special guests who are going to hang out with us and party on and enjoy a weekend of excitement in Las Vegas. Come join us. Tickets are only $60. Or if you want the VIP package, which includes a VIP get-together on the Friday night and excuse me, I'm so tired. And a VIP swag bag. It's $100. Nice and cheap. Nice and cheap. We want to see you all there. If you're going to be a VIP, we do need you to register with us by April 1st at info@spacedoutradio.com. Timmy, you have a good night, buddy. Talk to you soon.
You too. Thanks, bud.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.